We are live. All right. And if you want to pull up the chat, the comments, then that's how you know there's actual people are. Yeah, so it looks like mostly your people are here. All right.
Who here?
You got some people in the chat.
Yes,
Hello. We are live.
Salutations. I'm here with Mr. B, former social studies teacher, historian, political historian, YouTube celebrity.
Now I have to introduce you. I'm here with Josiah.
Yeah, this will be really interesting.
Pondering politics. I've watched a couple of his videos, but more importantly, I've gotten to know him within the last 24 hours. And
we become like this.
We both love George Washington. So
we do.
That is the most important thing.
We recognize that President Washington is the greatest president. I don't think that's particularly controversial. Others disagree. They're wrong. People entitled their wrong opinions.
Yeah.
We're here at the DNC. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not expect to be here. Did you?
Not until I said yes. And honestly, even then, I was kind of on the fence. I was like, is this really going to happen? But it's amazing to see so many politicians just like walk up and shake our hands and say thank you for what you do. Oh, I'm sorry, that didn't happen. But no, it's great. We might be talking to Congressman Ted Lieu soon. Hopefully Jamie Raskin. Got my fingers crossed for that one. Yeah, it's a bit of a impromptu stream. We've had some logistics challenges, but damn it, we're persevering. Yeah, so we also have Guy, IRI. I'm really important. You can't? Just like, sure.
No. That's fine.
These chairs are weird.
I just want to say we'd have 15 minutes max.
Can they hear us okay in the comments?
Could be
Are they
like
saying
5 minutes.
we can't hear you? They're not saying that, right? Okay. Yeah, so far we just got checked in, and this is like the media. They call it Media
Row.
Media Row. So
Like
we
Skid Row, but for media.
I mean, some pretty people who think they're a big deal around this area.
I mean, not compared to Mr.
Spike
B.
Lee walked by, like
Famous director Spike Lee, yeah.
Yeah. So
We saw the guys from Crooked Media, Pod Save America. They walked by. Brian Tyler Cohen walked by. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been I mean, we're bigger celebrities than they are. So
I mean, probably all combined.
their Z-list, we're Y-list.
Yeah, 100%. So they were like lucky to be in our presence. Yeah, no, this is we're still like getting used to it because, like I said, we just got checked in, we just ate, and we're still trying to figure things out. A lot of this is like ad hoc, I think. Like
It really is. I don't think even the people running this, they're like, well, this is how it is now, but it might change tomorrow. So.
Tomorrow, you all are going to be stunned with the smooth and effortless operation that we have. And people will be like rotating in and out. So IRI from I'm Really Important. If you're from Destiny's community watching, obviously you know IRI. He'll be popping in. I'll be popping out. Like we'll be rotating constantly. But yeah, we're excited to talk to some of the best and brightest of the Democratic Party. President Biden speaking later tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jill Biden, I think.
Dr. Jill Biden. Okay, I did not know that.
The teacher.
Yes.
And First Lady.
That's right. In that order. I mean, yeah, educate her first. Wasn't it President Biden says, I'm Joe and I'm Jill's husband or something like that? That's what he says. He's like, yeah, I'm Jill's husband.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah.
of President of the United States.
It's smooth.
It is smooth, yeah. He's probably still happily married. Yeah.
you gotta do that stuff.
Saw Tom Hartman, Roland Martin from Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like it's if you're a politics geek, this is it's a big deal.
And musicians too. I saw James Taylor perform. If you don't know who James Taylor is, just ask your parents. It's okay. Although your viewers should know. My viewers, maybe not so much. We were looking at our demographics before.
We need not talk about that. Yeah. Apparently he skews to a slightly younger audience.
Yeah. Oh, we have a special guest already. So
Yes.
Comes lined up here.
I think my IRI tapped into that. Yeah, had that conversation.
Should we pull up another chair? You can stick around in here too, or
no? Since we have two chairs, we couldn't get a third
this
chair.
This will be, like I said, so I titled it on my end, others, because we have other people here that are going to be.
That's you said that you called it others because you wouldn't bother to learn other people's names. Mr. Beat, he's such a diva, that Mr. Beat guy. Yeah. You know, so, but yeah, again, this is going to be pretty ad hoc, and people are going to be in and out, so just bear with us, and then hopefully we'll have a better understanding of what's going on tomorrow. But
one thing I will say is they are not messing around with security.
yeah.
I even tried to take a picture of the United Center outside, and they're like, "Nuh-uh."
He got tackled. Hey, do you?
You can.
All
jump
right,
in.
all right, come on. Yeah, have that interview.
All right, so we bring to you two
IRI.
new wonderful people. Just introduce everyone, but it's still going live here.
Yeah, how are you?
Matt Bate, nice to meet
Matt,
you.
nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get in. Everybody get in.
I'm gonna have to squeeze you guys danger close.
That's okay.
So we're live right now on a couple channels on YouTube.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
And Twitch.
And so what you're telling me all about it.
Yeah. We'll just make sure Mr. Beat's in there. Okay, cool. You can hear us all right? All right, we got a special guest, Malcolm Kenyatta. Can you introduce yourself? Just maybe tell them a little bit about what you're up to.
Oh yeah, so I'm a state rep from North Philly. I ran for the U.S. Senate 2 years ago, and now I'm running statewide right now for Auditor General. Auditor General is a very unnecessarily complex title for somebody that makes sure people aren't like being screwed and taken advantage of. So make sure nobody's like stealing your money, and then to ask the question of like, well, what the hell did you get for the money that the government invested on your name with your money? Like, what did you get for it? And if you didn't get a school where your kid can get a good quality education, or a road that you can drive over without breaking your damn car, if you didn't get that, then we ought to be saying something about that and making it work. So if you hate politics, you actually really should care who your Auditor General is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, nice.
What made you? How do you select what role to pick, what position to run for? What goes into that for you?
You know, it's not really complicated. I was poor and I was pissed off about it.
Okay.
It's not really
But why not
complex.
like Congress? You know, like why not the House or you know?
Well, I'm in the State House now. You know, for me, the big question was, you know, my dad was a social worker. And my mom was a CNA, certified nursing aide, and was like a home health aide for most of her life.
Okay.
Both of my parents died by the time I was 27. You know, we moved around all the time. Even though my parents worked, we still, you know, needed food stamps on the long ass list to get affordable housing, you know, CHIP, all the different programs that people need.
Means testing, yeah.
Right, all that different stuff. And so, you know, as I got older, like everybody, I was just kind of like, how could it be? How is it that you have people who are working every single day, and yet not only do you still need these programs, but it's still not enough, right? It's still not enough. How is that happening? And I really just got involved in trying to understand deep poverty. You know, in Philadelphia, we're the poorest big city in anywhere in America. In parts of my legislative district, not far from where I grew up, you have the Fair Hill section of North Philly.
Okay.
Poorest zip code in Pennsylvania. At one point, it's now the third poorest. And so you have a lot of people who are great folks who are working their ass off every single day, but the work that they're doing is not matching up with the benefits that they have, not matching up with the money they have in their pockets. And I didn't think that was right, and I sort of wanted to understand how that was happening. I got involved as an activist, started doing a bunch of different like programs, like conversations with different people, and after organizing with elected officials, organizing with other people who cared like I did, I was like, you know what, I can do this, and I can do it differently because I'm not just talking to people about something I heard. I'm talking about my life. You can always talk about your own life.
What's it like switching from activist to elected?
You know, it is a real education and patience, right? Because I think people's frustration with politics is even when we're trying to meet people's need, we're not meeting people's need at the speed of the need.
Right.
Right? And so, you know, we talk about the need to build housing. And every year, PHA, which is our Philadelphia Housing Authority, has built more houses than the year before, but we went from 900 houses to 1,000 houses. That is not meeting people's need at the speed of the crisis.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that happens in the legislature that's so frustrating. That it just takes forever to get the types of things done that we all, I don't know if we all agree in the legislature itself, but I think most thinking people agree that we should do something about it.
That's fair. Do you have any question?
How's the campaign going? Like you said, you're like I don't know nothing about you or your campaign. So like,
I love it.
New audience.
No, I love it.
People.
Listen, your hope is that every day you meet somebody new and you can talk to them about why you're in this and why you're doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
what's been the biggest obstacle, like, trying to do that?
It's trying to meet as many people as possible, seriously, because Pennsylvania, you got 13 million people who you have to try to reach and connect to.
Yes.
And so often the way that those 13 million people get to know you is that you have the most money. And certainly, we've raised a nice amount of money. But my opponent, for example, folks might have heard of Jeffrey Yass. You should Google him.
He's the TikTok guy, right?
Yep, big owner of TikTok. He's the wealthiest
Trump money.
person in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
It's $27 billion at least.
Oh, okay.
Just only $27 billion.
Okay.
He's not even he doesn't even at $30 billion yet. What a slack off, right? So it's $27 billion, and a part of what he's done with that money is he funds completely almost every Republican campaign in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Like completely.
Single-handedly.
Single-handedly.
That's
And
out of
Pennsylvania
control.
has no campaign finance laws. So
How do
if
we
you want
compete with that?
listen, I have legislation right now to try to change it. But if you wanted to give me $1 million right now, as long as I report it, it's legal. And also, if you want to give me $1 million, I would take it for my campaign. Okay, so if you got it, I would take it right now.
See what we can do.
We need it. But we're running against a guy who doesn't have to do the hard work that we have to do, like talking to you, incredible folks who built a platform to try to reach people who weren't reached. He has one person who's going to write a huge check for him. 4 years ago, Jeff Yass wrote him a $1.8 million check. That was 85% of every dollar he raised. So far this year, he's 95 cents of every dollar he raises.
One guy.
One person.
not
And
right.
our average contribution is 130 something bucks. And so we're in a much different league. But this is what gives me a lot of hope is we're out there every single day, not just in Philly and Pittsburgh, as a lot of people like to think about. Pennsylvania is like, just you get out the votes, Democratic votes in Philly and Pittsburgh. No, we're showing up particularly in a lot of rural areas.
Nice.
Right? Because I would tell you, think about this. We just did a 5-day, 10-county tour. And because my staff hates me, when this is over, we're going to do a 4-day, 11-county tour
Oh, boy.
across parts of rural Pennsylvania. And I will tell you, you have Democrats and independents and some disaffected Republicans who are doing really hard work. I mean, to put a yard sign up in a place like Reedsville is not just a nice thing to do, it's an act of courage. I have friends in Reedsville who painted their barn, Biden-Harris 2020. Somebody burned down their barn, firebombed their barn. We were able to raise them $25,000 to rebuild the barn on, crowdfunding a couple of years ago. People can Google this story. But those people were the hub for a lot of Democratic activity in their area, and they stepped back completely because that's terrifying to be sleeping in your house and somebody throws a Molotov cocktail into your damn barn on your property. That's terrifying. And so a part of what we've been doing is reaching those folks, just taking nobody for granted, and it's really paid dividends. All of the polls we have so far say we're winning. You certainly don't take polls as gospel. You just wake up the next day, talk to everybody who'll talk to you, and do what you can.
Yeah. I feel like state government has to pick up a bunch of slack right now because the federal government is just a logjam, can't get anything done. So do you feel like, too much on your shoulders, or like are the states being asked to do too much? Like, I don't know how to phrase that, but you know what I'm
I hear your
saying?
point. Let me
Because
answer
it's
that
almost
in
like
two
you
ways.
guys can't even solve some of these problems, and what do you even do? If the federal government's not working, how do you even do your job, That's frustrating.
Let me answer that by sort of going back when I say like the speed of the need, right? I think a part of the challenge we have, it's a part of the beauty of our system, it's part of the frustration of our system, right? I explain it this way, and buckle up. To get a bill passed in Pennsylvania, I have to get 101 of my colleagues to agree with me on that legislation.
Right.
I have to make sure that the lawyers, first of all, let me go back. First, I have to have a good idea. And I have a lot of colleagues that don't have good ideas. And so we got to start there. So first, you got to have a good idea. Then you got to get 101 people after going through a committee process, after getting the bill introduced, after getting the majority leader to even bring up your bill on the floor for those people to vote on. And if you're lucky, you get 102 people at minimum to vote for your piece of legislation. Then it has to go to the Senate, and it goes through the same process. Then the leader in the Senate has to decide that they want to send it to a committee. Because they can just send it to a committee and it just die there.
Yeah.
And then if you're lucky enough, it gets out of the committee, then it goes to the Senate floor and they debate it. Then you have to get 26 people to agree to that. Then you have to get the governor to sign it. Then you have to hope that the lawyers who wrote the bill in the first place wrote it in a way that the courts can't overturn it as unconstitutional. Then the governor has to actually sign it, and then you have to go through the long process of implementing it, right? So if we're trying to deal with issues of people who are unhoused, have kids, and they can't look their kids in the eye with a level of a straight face and say it's going to be better for you than it is for me, for us right now. How the hell do you say to people, yeah, be excited about that? Part of what I say is this.
Right.
You are right to be frustrated, but your frustration does not give you license to remove yourself from the process. Because the Jeff Yasses of the process, he spent $9 million trying to flip our Pennsylvania Supreme Court. He lost, but Jeff Yass didn't say, well, I wasted $9 million, so I'm not going to be involved again. No, he got right back on the horse, and he's writing checks for whoever else. We have to have that same determination to get right back up, get right back up, get right back up. The people who wanted to get rid of the right to choose, they didn't stop 50 years ago when the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Roe. They said, hey, we're going to vote every 6 months to make sure we get people in who care about our priorities. And so I'm not asking people to be excited about any one politician. I'm not asking anybody to join my cult of personality. My husband doesn't want to join my cult, so you shouldn't join it. He's not in it. He knows me really well, so you shouldn't be in it. What I'm asking you to do is to do you care about you? Do you care about the people who you love best in the world? And if you do, then the question becomes, what are you willing to do to make their lives better? I'm willing to get up one day a year, twice a year, to go make sure I do everything in my power. Doesn't mean I can do everything, but there are things within my power to try to make a difference.
I want to ask you one more question, then Pondering, if you want to come in here. Now, you're more progressive than some people. What is it like being a progressive right now? It seems like progressives are kind of on the ropes a little bit, like with Jamal Bowman getting ousted, Cori Bush. Do you feel that the progressive movement needs to make some changes or move about things a little more differently?
Listen, I think we have to make sure that people can hear what we're saying. Okay. And so I think a part of what has sort of locked us in is trying to take our ideas and lock them into a certain name or format, or we're committed to branding something this exact way. That doesn't matter.
Testing.
I wouldn't say purity testing, because I think there are important things that we're trying to accomplish. I'm talking about branding, right? Okay. If we're trying to get everybody school lunch and progressive get together and say we're going to call it the Lunch for All program, and then some people say we're going to call it Lunch for Pennsylvania instead of Lunch for All, I don't give a damn what you call it. What I care is that people have lunch. Right. And I think that sometimes we're fighting people who are in our movement on branding, not on issues. Right. Not on issues. Right. Hell yeah, there is no moving away from making it possible for people to have a family sustaining wage, making it possible for every single person to have access to healthcare, which is a human right, making it possible so people can make their own healthcare decisions, to love who you love, set up your family in the way you want. I'm not moving on that, but I don't care what we call it. And I do think that has been a part of our challenge. It's certainly not, you can't in 30 seconds sort of talk about everything that we need to do, but I identify that as one of the big challenges that we have. We just have to take the things that we know are right and message them differently in some instances. And I think that we have done that. I've seen a lot of people in our movement, who agree with me that we just want to get big things done, and we don't care who gets credit. We don't care what we call it.
No matter who we need to work with to get it done. Let's just get it done.
Listen, I don't care if the worst person in the world votes for my legislation. If it helps me get to 102 votes for a good piece of legislation that's going to make people's lives better, sit your ass down and vote.
I appreciate it. Where did Pondering go? Oh, he took it. I was going to let my colleague come after.
I do have one more question.
Yeah, please.
You've mentioned housing a lot. Is that the one issue that you're most passionate about, or if not, what is the one issue that you want to make a high priority?
I do buy into, and these are academics who've used this terminology, this housing first model. If you don't have somewhere to live, then it's highly unlikely that you're going to be able to have a family-sustaining job. Not impossible, highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely that you're going to have the type of health outcomes that you want to see. It's highly unlikely that your kids are going to have the type of stability they need to get a good quality education. And so if you don't have somewhere that is not just somewhere that has four walls and a roof, but somewhere that is safe, stable, clean, if you don't have that, it's really tough to extract the fullness of the American promise that we deserve. Because, you know, America is great. The issue is that only certain people have benefited from its greatness.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure that everybody can.
It's crazy that housing isn't a right in America. How can we stand to have like 600,000 of our fellow Americans on the streets and millions more sleeping in their cars? It is an outrage and it's disgusting. I'm glad people are starting to kind of wake up to it. Like, what are we doing?
Well, listen, I appreciate you guys, and I would just say this. You know, candidates don't win elections. That's the dirty little secret of this. You have to have a good candidate. You have to have candidates who have a good vision for the future. But you watching, you win elections, right? Having those conversations person to person, and it's not just Malcolm's opinion or like something, you know, you say that sounds good. There's great body of research that when you knock on somebody's door, if you can get them face to face, that person, if they say, yeah, I'm gonna vote, it's like in the 95 percentile that they do actually go to vote. Because unlike Donald Trump, most people aren't narcissistic sociopaths who look you directly in your eyes and lie to you. Most people, if you have that conversation, you inspire them, they want to go vote, they do. And so that's not going to happen just because, you know, you share this stream with somebody and say, hey, I love Malcolm's interview. You have to go talk to them.
Yeah,
and so you
walk the walk.
You have to. And so I encourage, you know, whoever you're watching, you have more power than you think you do. Not just the people you see walking around this with credentials or whatever. You have the credentials to go talk to people in your community about what matters to you. And I hope you do it. So I appreciate you. And I will be back anytime you have me.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So nice to meet you. Take care. Take care.
All right. Well, we're still going though.
It's still live,
I
but
haven't talked to you yet.
yeah.
Chair if you guys want to
Oh,
get a little more comfortable.
thanks, man.
Should I move in or he move in?
Oh,
Both of you guys support each other. You just a little more now.
Okay.
yeah. So I found out about you. I told you this off air, but I just wanted the audience to know that my audience was already tuning into what you were doing, and when I first watched you, yes, and I was like, I love how you take this stuff that's boring. I mean, C-SPAN stuff, basically. that, you know, like politics innately is boring for a lot of people, but you break it down in a way that's just like, oh, that's been like, I don't know if you view yourself as an educator, but in many ways you are. Have you ever considered that?
I don't know about educator, but I think just kind of like bringing the horse to the water. It's up to them to drink, you know. And all I can do is share my curiosity. But if anybody doesn't know, I'm a Twitch streamer. It goes by I'm Really Important.
Yes. Check him out.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm just curious myself. So as a streamer, because you're on all the time, people can tell if it's inauthentic within seconds. And so all I can do is do what I would do anyways, but with some friends. And that's why I started streaming, honestly, because I wanted to attract people like me. I wanted to hang out with people. I didn't want to bug my friends and family about politics. And now I've amassed an audience of people who are really into politics like I am. But yeah, I don't know about educating people because I'm not the smartest guy.
But you're curious. That's the word.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like I worry about this decline in curiosity. I don't know if you see it, like,
You're right.
and anytime I do meet somebody that watches my channel, I'm just like thanking them for being curious, because like you had to, in most cases, you had to be curious in the first place to even want to click on one of my videos.
Yeah.
And then the fact that a lot of people will not click on it, like, why would I want to learn that? You know.
Yeah.
So it's constantly just tricking people into clicking on it.
Well, I'll give you one of my secrets is I show the drama. So it's a boring hearing and I go, you know, Matt Gaetz is going to be there and he hates this guy and he tried to pass a bill and this guy shut it down and these two clashed last time and 2 days ago this guy did an interview and he said something negative about this bill, so this is going to be fireworks. So I try to like show the drama and make it, you know, bring the human element into it. That's kind of like one of my things I do. That's how I can watch.
Hey, one thing you could say about the drama of these committees in recent years and just Trumpism overall, you can't deny that it's brought a lot of people that wouldn't be into politics into it. So it's like one of those, it's silver linings, I think, where at least these people are engaged with it, you know, they wouldn't be otherwise.
Yeah. I think Trump has done the nation a favor, and it's rough right now. But he has inspired a lot of people to say, I got to get way more involved. And those are lifetime commitments, in my opinion. I don't think people will check out if Kamala wins and Trump goes to prison or something.
Well, they'll remember.
They'll stick around. They'll say, you know what? There are some problems that I could get involved in, and maybe I should pay attention to politics moving forward. You know?
Yeah.
So,
I do. Okay, so one of the videos I am planning. I wanted to get your input on this. Yeah, no,
Reveal.
like,
Do they
I
know
do
about
have
this?
like, okay, so I have a perhaps controversial idea that would definitely like affect you, because you know when you film all these these hearings, these committee meetings, when you film the floor of the House and they're giving these speeches, sometimes I feel like it's just, you know, they're just performing for the cameras and they're just trying to get more attention.
It's theatrics, yeah.
And so, like, what if, I mean, the idea would be, what if we just stopped filming Congress? Like, we don't film, you know, how we don't film the Supreme Court.
Right.
Maybe that would make Congress more functional.
Well, do you think the Supreme Court's any more functional?
I do, actually.
Really?
I'm weird. I know. I actually defend the Supreme Court.
They have like
probably
the
way
shadow
too much.
docket and a bunch of weird stuff. Yeah.
Well, but, you know, there's true friendships. I always bring up the example of Antonin Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. You know, they had very different political views, but famously, or maybe not famously, they were really good friends. Like these bonds that developed from just, you know, working together, and a lot of times I feel they can have deeper conversations and less political conversations because they see the human. They really do. These 9 people, which should be more, they should have term limits, in my opinion.
Yes.
But I mean, like, they do, for the most part, I think, care about what each other has to say. Like, so I don't know.
No, you bring up an interesting point. I actually would be curious to try it, like A/B
Yeah, yeah.
testing,
There you go.
because on one hand, I do think it gets people to pay attention more. There's millions of people that watch these hearings across C-SPAN, believe
Yes.
it or not. And I think it actually does inform people because, and here's the other thing is, the debate that happens on the House floor or the Senate floor is actually referenced by the judicial branch when they go to interpret a law, when they have to make a ruling.
Right.
And so I think that debate is important for people to listen to. Even though there are theatrics, it's a very small portion of Congress that engages in that. And it's also a very small portion of Congress that goes on TV and does interviews. The vast majority of these people are working together, trying to push legislation forward. So I don't know how much it would solve in that regard.
Well, you could do the compromises the Supreme Court does, where you just audio only, no video.
You could.
Even that, because like, I just think about Marjorie Taylor Greene and how much she's just such an attention-seeking person.
Right.
She just wants. I mean, she loves it when people are mad at her.
Right.
you
No,
know?
the people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are farming clips when they go to hearings. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are genuine exchanges. I'm sure you've seen it plenty of times where people are inquisitive and asking expert witness about
Right.
the issue, and I think that's important. I would hate to lose that. And
Yeah.
audio only is kind of boring in today's day and age. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe that's where you come in. Huh?
Yeah, maybe I could spice it up.
And the other thing, like I always think back on Newt Gingrich. You know, before Newt Gingrich in the '90s, I feel like you didn't have these theatrics as much. He was so successful. Do you know a lot about Gingrich?
I don't know a lot
Like
about
when
Gingrich,
he was
no.
Speaker of the House. Yeah,
That's before my time.
yeah, like he just really, he was actually pretty smart and realizing that, hey, C-SPAN is our way to like actually change the culture even of this country, like because we're talking directly to the American people, and we're not really talking to our colleagues here. And then what you see actually after he started doing that is other people started doing it, and then Congress became more polarized. So that's a really fascinating phenomenon. It started in the '90s.
Yeah, no, I heard it with the Clinton and all the scandals, and they took advantage of that. And
Yeah,
my
yeah.
understanding is Republicans were actually out of power in the House for like 40 years before then as well, and he kind of brought them back. So
Single-handedly.
I personally think we may see something like that after this election, where Republicans are out of power for quite some time.
Well, they're the minority party.
Oh well, they still control the House right now.
Yeah, not that matters, right? Minority.
They may actually shut our government down. We have a spending bill that has to be passed, or a continuing resolution by the end of September, which is, just a month away.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, and when it comes to shutting the federal government down, people blame everybody. They might blame the Republicans a little more, but what does it matter when you're getting blamed too? It's like,
Yeah, the fact that people aren't making money.
I think the solutions are not a surface things. A lot of people will say term limits, right? When you ask, we should get term limits for Supreme Court, 100%. But term
for
limits for Congress members, I don't think that solves the problem. What do you think?
Yeah, there are a lot of. I mean, overall, I guess I can see I lean more towards term limits. However, like there's going to be big issues. I mean, lobbyists are going to have more power.
Yeah.
The you know the leeches who surround DC, like especially the ones who have been there for decades. I mean, they're going to have much more leverage a lot of times because you get fresh new faces in there, and they just kind of like us coming in here today. We're just trying to get caught up.
Right. People don't know, yeah.
Yeah, is that what are your thoughts on the negatives?
Well, I think that people will just groom their successor, and it'll be a different face, but it'll be the same scheme. I don't think it'll solve anything. But but I think there are real solutions, like ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting forces people to be more moderate when they're campaigning, and also because they have to win over second and third place votes, they have to form little coalitions. I think things like that can help improve who we're sending to Congress.
Yeah.
Because it's only a couple of hand grenades that get in there and cause problems, like some extremists, right?
Yep.
Everybody who goes to Congress should be trying to work with the other side, and like this idea of just sticking with your team should be really frowned upon. But I think if we can just moderate the people that go there, then I think it can actually work, and with the existing system.
Make Congress boring again.
Yeah.
Have
So
you heard of star voting?
star voting? No.
Yeah, I like that even better than ranked choice voting. But
What is that?
it's so the STAR is an acronym. It stands for score, then automatic runoff, which is basically
you put them in order you want, right, or something like that.
well, you score the first round, and then the second. There's actually a second round. You don't have to vote again, but that's just how you you take the top scores, and then you they go head to head, basically.
Anything's going to be better than this first past the post thing we have, because people are not willing to vote for anyone else, and there's just no risk. Like, it's a popularity contest.
Lesser of the two evils for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, we also need proportional representation in the Senate.
Yes.
That's something I brought up to you. Like, we can learn a lot from other democracies that have come after ours. So, like in Germany, the upper chamber, you can get up to 6 votes in their Senate based on the size of your state.
Right.
And so here in California, we would have 6 votes in the Senate. And if the population was distributed proportionally with the votes in the Senate, Democrats would have like 56, 57 votes right now. That would be a big difference than what we have right now.
How many do you have right now?
The Democrats, we have 51.
Okay.
But it's 3 independents and 48 Democrats.
Oh, right, yeah.
But yeah, our coalition is 51.
Germany has mixed number though, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even just some elements of proportion representation, yeah. And I've actually been pushing a lot for expanding the size of the House of Representatives.
Yeah, it hasn't changed in 100 years.
There you go.
It's like 750,000 people per district. It's crazy.
Maybe we can bring it up to some politicians in here. There was a bill last year that was introduced.
Oh, really?
Congressman from Oregon. Where's the bow tie? I can't remember his name.
Oh,
Glasses.
oh yeah, like the bicycle
Portland.
on his
Yeah, it's
lapel.
that guy.
He actually retired.
Dang it.
I think it's Blumenthal or something.
He was the one who introduced the bill.
Well,
so,
he's leaving this term, so he'll
Okay.
be there through January.
Well, a new generation to
Yeah.
influence.
Where'd our buddy?
Yeah, where did
We lost Josiah, even though we have his
Josiah
screen.
was the one who he.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you might come back
Come
because I
back.
feel
Maybe we'll
kinda
get
bad.
Adam. That'd
Most
be
of
cool.
his viewers are.
Oh. Okay.
If you're looking for Josiah,
Yeah, sorry to
he's on-
his viewers.
He's actually on another stream right now, I think, or video.
Yeah.
But I don't think they mind. Is anybody watching? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Nice. One of these waters is mine, but I don't know now. So.
Yeah, you got to get backwash.
I think I kept mine the closest to me.
I think mine's the fuller one, but that's okay.
Well, who are some of the candidates you guys are delegates or representatives you guys are most looking forward to talking to?
Well, I mean, we'll take anybody, man. But it seems like it's just whoever's walking around and happy to jump on. Is there anybody that you were really wanting to talk to? I mean,
Well, if you're familiar with, I did a video where I called every member of Congress. Actually, 2 videos. One where I called every member of the Senate, and I did it live, which was legal in Kansas because don't worry, I won't get arrested. And then I asked for responses. I got emails back from 5 senators.
Wow.
I got one video response, and that video response was from Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey.
Nice.
So I was kind of hoping to catch him because he said, hey, if I ever come across you, I'd love to talk to you. So that's pretty much, yeah, he was the only one. He sent me...
What did you contact them about?
So voting reform is my #1 priority. So at the time, I was really pushing for making Election Day a national holiday.
Sure.
Just so people can get to the polls easier, yeah.
It should be on Saturday like Hawaii does.
Even that would work.
Primary, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm happy to see since COVID all these new laws come into effect to make voting easy.
Yeah.
Like drop boxes, early voting is really taken off. I get involved in early voting now because it's exciting. You hear
Yeah, I always
1 million
vote early.
people voted early, 2 million, 4 million. I'm like, I want to be a part of that. And they will stop contacting you within days. Text, mailers, because their system's so sophisticated now that they're not going to waste time on people who already voted.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Those get annoying.
Even Trump voted early in Florida's primary.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
recently.
He's also voted by mail, by the way.
Right, which he has criticized both and said they're terrible.
Yeah, and we've been voting by mail since the Civil War.
Yeah, and our
So,
armed service members have to vote by mail. A lot
Exactly.
of them.
I voted by mail when I was in college, absentee ballot.
Yeah. No, I
yeah,
think-
it's
I think these attacks on our voting system are ridiculous, but
Yeah.
we should make it as easy as possible. Now, the one thing I'd love to see is shorter campaigns. I don't know how we get there, though. Because this has been kind of fun and exciting, like with Kamala coming in late and this
it
campaign
feels like
just taking off.
yeah, like a new thing where, yeah, I mean, I can't believe, think back on 2020, how that can, I think the first person who introduced their candidacy, it was like just a few days after the midterm elections of 2018 already.
Wow.
So you're talking about literally 2 years of campaigning.
Yep. We saw that in 2022, or 2020.
Yeah, that's what I
people
was
like
saying,
Bernie were talking, like early 2019.
Well, then you had like 27 candidates. I think it was actually I went to Iowa, the caucus in
Oh, wow.
2020.
I
It
never-
was right before COVID.
That's the last one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a cool experience. I got
Yeah.
to see. It was kind of like this. You got to see some politicians up close, but
I watched. They had a couple precincts live streamed on C-SPAN that I watched, and it was really a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Now, it's very. It keeps a lot of people out because who can show up at a certain time? Not most people can't or won't, and
Yeah.
also who wants to stand in front of their neighbors and be the odd man out? So there's a lot of peer pressure. So
Yeah,
there's
literally
some
with the
pros
caucus.
and cons, but the pro is like how exciting it is to see people get together and stand for what they believe in. Literally stand for it.
Yeah.
But there's just too many cons. I think it's a dated thing. What do you think? Should it be brought? Should it keep going?
When I lived in Nebraska, I did a caucus. We do primaries in Kansas, but it was weird.
Yeah.
Like it was 2008. I had registered as a Democrat to do. It was between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama.
Okay.
And they said everybody who's for Hillary Clinton go to the auditorium. Everybody for Barack Obama go to the gymnasium. It was some high school.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like
Was it split evenly or what?
it was actually pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
Who were you for?
That's Omaha. I was for Obama. I was one of those guys.
Wow.
But also back then, I supported Ron Paul. I supported Dennis Kucinich.
Interesting.
Remember Mike Gravel? Do you know Mike Gravel?
remember Mike Gravel.
Rest in peace. I always like the weirdest candidates. Like generally, Obama was like actually kind of one of the normal ones I supported. But
Mike Gravel briefly ran for president in 2020, right?
oh yeah, because of the Gen Zers.
He like
that-
threw a brick in the river or something. That was like
That
some
was
weird-
a reboot from the first time he did that was in 2008.
Okay.
And if you can look this up, the entire commercial, all he did was he didn't say anything. He, or maybe he said vote for me. I don't know. But he just like had this big rock and then you throw it in the and water and then he just walks away like some. It's one of the most bizarre. Do you remember Herman Cain campaign ads? And
I don't remember the ads, but I remember Herman Cain.
in 2012, go back and watch some of those Herman Cain ones if they're online. They're wacky.
He was
Yeah.
a character.
He was. Rest in peace as well.
He got by COVID. Trump killed him basically, right? Didn't he catch COVID
Yeah,
at
he
a Trump
denied
rally
he
or
denied
something?
that COVID existed or something, or that the vaccines work, and then he died from COVID.
Yeah, I think at a Trump, he got it from a Trump rally or something.
I think he did in Oklahoma.
His family kept tweeting out from his account, which was super creepy.
And today you can go on Reddit and you can visit the subreddit Herman Cain Award. It's dedicated to all the people who
Yeah,
deny COVID and deny that vaccines work, and then they die from COVID. So listen to your doctors, folks. Listen to experts.
Yeah, I don't know who else I'm excited here. I mean, let me think. Who's a sleeper favorite? I would love to talk to Jared Moskowitz.
Who's
You know
that?
him? He's a congressman from Florida who he fights with James Comer all the time. He calls him a Smurf. He's
Okay.
a pretty good media personality. Yeah.
All right.
He's a freshman this
But
Congress.
see, it's always the ones that talk trash that you know about.
Well, my understanding, and I've interviewed a few members of Congress. My understanding is some of them seek out the publicity, a
Yeah.
very small portion, and so those are the ones we see a lot of. And so it's most of them aren't built like that though. Most of them are actually having accomplished careers, just kind of doing quiet work.
I appreciate those quiet ones. Yeah.
I do too. Those are the ones that are like making the big difference. Yeah. I mean, no offense to anybody like Jared Moskowitz or anything, but there's
Well,
value in both.
exactly. They can amplify stuff that needs to be amplified sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, they.
I mean, who else? Boy, if we can get any senators here, that would be super cool. My understanding is Tammy Duckworth, who's from Illinois, senator from Illinois,
Yeah.
was kind of instrumental, played a big role in getting the convention here. So I would love to ask her, why? Why did you guys want it? Besides bringing money and to the city, why is it so important to have a Democratic convention in your city? What does it mean? So that's kind of...
Other than it's good for the economy.
It's great for the economy for sure, but it also comes with some heartache too, like what happened here in '68. You know.
Yeah, that's one thing I was maybe going to bring up. How much do you know about the 1968 convention?
Very little, except that it was a brokered convention that led to a lot
Yeah.
of problems.
Yeah, that was the last Democratic National Convention where they basically just party bosses just ignored the will of the people, or within the party, I should say.
Yeah.
Going with Hubert Humphrey instead of anti-war alternatives. Of course, one of those alternatives was Robert Kennedy, who was assassinated. But the other one that was really popular was Eugene McCarthy, and they just shut him out.
Wow.
And they said, no, we're going with Humphrey instead, who was viewed at the time as, he was the vice president to Lyndon Johnson, so he was viewed as an establishment guy, even though he had been like, oh, no, we need to get out of Vietnam, and we'll get out of Vietnam. By that time, even LBJ was saying that, though, so...
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
I think she's a congresswoman.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Get over here!
Hey, where you going? Yeah, that's cool.
But anyway.
No, I don't know the history of the conventions or 68.
Yeah, no, so people keep drawing comparisons because of the protests.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think it's that comparable, to be honest. I think the protests here are more chill. I mean, when we took a look at 1968, it was like
Well, we haven't seen
police
anything
brutality.
yet.
Yeah, that's true. But the police brutality was just horrendous. Like, there's lots of photographs of it, even some video footage. But yeah, I don't think it's going to get that bad. I don't think the division is quite as much as it was in 1968.
It seems like they're prepared for it very well this time.
That too. Yeah, that's it.
Usually, if they have time to anticipate it, they can prevent the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just excited to be here. I think it's a cool experience. Did you get to go down to the floor?
I was there for a little while. Saw James Taylor perform.
Okay,
They let just be down for a little while.
that's awesome. Yeah, I got to walk down there and see like the microphone where the delegates announce who they've nominated.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to walk
Yeah.
a couple feet from the podium. I was like, this is it. Like, this is so cool, man.
Well, yeah, so tonight, in case you're just joining us, the speakers that we know of are the Bidens, Jill and Joe. May have heard of them. And
Which I think is going to be an amazing moment. I think you're going to
Yeah.
get a 10-minute standing ovation.
I bet you he does get a long ovation. And then, actually, yeah, he's one of. This is my next video. He's one of, I believe, 14 presidents to not run for re-election.
Wow.
So in the last president to not run for re-election was Lyndon Johnson, 1968.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since. It's hard to give up power, man.
I think this will be Joe Biden's most memorable act that he does that he'll be remembered for. Nobody's going to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act or the American Rescue Plan or the infrastructure bill. They're going to talk about Joe Biden gave up power, because you just don't see that ever in today's day and age.
You really
And
don't.
It was such a great example that it's like it's awe-inspiring almost, because it just sends such a great message that you don't have to hold on to power at all costs, and nobody would do that. And I think because of Joe Biden's age and his being old school, he had that in him. I don't think we'll see that again for a long, long time.
He's a member of the silent generation. They're built differently. People forget he's older than a boomer.
Yeah. I've always thought his age was an asset too. Like I'm kind of controversial in that I'm a big Joe Biden supporter, and so many people frown upon him. But I just think his age has been a wonderful asset as far as like getting legislation passed and knowing how to navigate foreign issues. He's done a brilliant job, and I think Kamala will make a great president too. But we are really losing an amazing president, and maybe age is what took him in the end. But it's our loss, unfortunately.
Do you think he will be ranked as among the best?
Yeah, well, wasn't he already ranked 14th by historians?
Oh, that's right. There was one survey, the C-SPAN or one of those.
I think it's C-SPAN's, yeah.
Yeah, I always wait a few years. Like, I finally started ranking Obama in there. Like,
where does he rank?
So I usually do tier lists. That's what I do.
Oh, like S tier and down?
Yeah, and so I think I started out with him being lower when I was like, because I was not a fan of his foreign policy, but like he's still at least a C, maybe pushing B at this point. I think the thing is,
he basically defeated ISIS, though.
Yeah, I mean, like my foreign policy views are more in line with like non-interventionism. I think.
Okay.
So that explains it. I mean, that's really been counter to mainstream foreign policy for most of my life.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think the concern is like China would fill the void if we step back. Do you not think so?
Yeah. So I think that's what we're seeing now is that they're kind of maybe trying to do that. So I get it. I mean, the thing that I struggle with is, just the golden rule. Like, what if China started building military bases in our borders, in Texas? How would they react to that? How would, if an American, like, say this guy, his wife was at home and he was at the store, and while he was at the store, his wife had the drone dropped a bomb on his house, killing his wife. He'd be a terrorist now.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what country he's from. So, like, we've radicalized a lot of people, and it doesn't mean we've meant to do that, of course, but the CIA calls this phenomenon blowback, and I think over many, many decades of doing these type of policies, these clandestine, we used to overthrow dictators and then install new dictators. Even if it's gotten a lot better, I think there's these memories around the world of, like, they even sometimes call it a new form of imperialism.
Yeah.
And so, does that mean that we don't be involved at all? No, we have to be involved. I mean, the world counts on us.
Right.
So it's one of those things where you have to be careful and calculated, I think. But yeah.
Well, I think it's that finding that balance that's tough.
Yeah.
We have not found it. I'll agree with you on that.
What's your views on NATO? Like, do you think that's the way forward? Like, trying to expand membership with NATO?
I think so. It seems to be a successful defensive alliance.
Like any country that wants to get involved.
I don't know about any country. Turkey gives me some reservation,
Yeah.
But I do think Switzerland and Finland joining was a huge benefit. They had their own militaries, and they are giant countries. So
it feels like NATO has become what the United Nations was supposed to be in terms of like the peacekeepers, like because like when the United Nations was formed, it was supposed to have this wing that was like, oh, we're truly the world's police. And with the Korean War, that's how it was, but it just ended up not being that way at all.
Well, I mean, it seems like it's kept world order for quite a while, up until very recently.
Yeah.
I would like to see. It seems like Asian countries are starting to get involved, and I could see maybe a world where I don't know, Japan joins some sort of alliance. Though we have what's that other one, the AUK one or whatever, with Australia.
Oh, the other military alliance.
Yeah.
Let us know in the chat. You should probably be checking the chat. Is any good questions? Josiah came back.
Oh yeah, we'll let him back in on stream. I'll let
I
him
lost
back.
my phone. I don't know where it's at. Hopefully I didn't lose it.
Do you want to come on your stream? I'm happy to let you on your stream.
Buddy.
All right.
Yeah, we've all been busy.
Oh.
We've been talking about all kinds of stuff, so.
Let's talk politics for a change, okay? I don't know
Yeah,
what they were
for a
talking
change.
about.
Any questions on there that somebody's bugging us about? You can see the. Oh, I was just seeing if there's any questions we need to answer. You have super chats, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if you have any super. Here, I'll check your super.
Cool. So, politics. Damn it.
Man, I'm gonna ask you that person. So you're getting candidates you want to be Congress people.
I would love to meet my wish list.
It's not obvious one.
Jamie Raskin is my go-to. Jamie Raskin's too obvious. I think so. Pramila Jayapal, leader of the Progressive Caucus. I'd like to meet her. Ted Lieu. Did Ted Lieu stop in? Oh, I see. Ted Lieu would be another one. Congressman Garcia. That'd be one, yeah. Minor, like, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of her, but AOC. Y'all ever, yeah.
They want you to introduce yourself again because my audience is like, who are you?
Josiah with Pondering Politics, Mr. Beat's best friend, teaching him a lot about social studies. Yeah. He's more of a music guy, I'm told, so I'm trying to teach him a bit. Yeah.
We found these cookies.
Say what?
Tim Walz cookies. If
I think he wants you to. They want you-
I'm gonna eat Tim Walz's head. Don't take that out of context.
It might be a Secret Service violation.
What are your thoughts on this guy?
Governor Tim Walz was my preferred vice presidential pick just off the merits. I thought that perhaps Governor Shapiro might give us, an electoral edge with respect to Pennsylvania. So, electoral considerations, it was a tough call, but as I've said on my channel, I've been a big Tim Walz fan for over a year. I mean, the fact that he is with a simple majority in his legislature by a single vote, he's passed so much by way of sweeping legislation. This is a guy who knows he has power and wields that power. I feel too often Democrats are reluctant to wield power. They feel like they have an obligation to work bipartisanly with a bad faith authoritarian party, and Tim Walz doesn't really do that. Like, if he tries to work bipartisanly and if Republicans attempt to obstruct or thwart him, he's like, I'm in the majority, and proceeds with his agenda. That's an attitude, in my opinion, that the Harris-Walz administration has to continue. I mean, work bipartisanly when and where you can, but don't let the bad faith obstructionism of today's Republican Party stop you from accomplishing campaign goals. If you have the majority, say, hey, listen, we can work in good faith, or if we don't work in good faith, I'm just going to go through you. And I love that. That Tim Walz brings that energy to it. So
Really want to know.
He tastes like.
What does he feel like?
I'm trying to be witty here, but he tastes like democracy. I don't know.
That's
wow.
Yeah,
It doesn't have the bitter flavor profile of authoritarianism.
No.
Yeah. It tastes like sweet freedom.
So, Mr. Beat, they want somebody here is saying that they know you're a big George Washington fan, and they're curious if you'd recommend the Flexnor biography or the Chernow biography.
Oh, we both are
Just
George
talking about
Washington
that. Yeah.
fans. The Chernow one is the one that I mostly
definitive.
Yeah, when I researched for my video, that's the one I leaned on the most. The Alexis Coe one.
Yeah, I really like that one. So Alexis Coe wrote a book, I think it was in 2021 or 2020, biography of President Washington called "You Never Forget Your First." It's a good book.
It's very good.
Yeah.
And then if you get a chance to go to have you been to Mount Vernon?
I have not.
Oh yeah, I guess it's a bit of a drive. Well, it's not too far, but yeah, I've been there a couple times. It's one of the best historical sites to visit.
Yeah,
I've ever been to.
So Beat and I were kind of geeking out on this in our 4-mile trek to the convention center. We were bonding over our shared appreciation for President Washington. If you follow me at Pondering Politics, you know I reference Washington a lot because if there is an antithesis to Washington, George Washington made manifest today, it's Donald Trump. I mean, if you read President Washington's farewell address, he all but gives Donald Trump's Social Security number. Like he says, avoid unscrupulous men of low principle who will, manipulate partisanship to their own ends. I mean, it is a prophecy almost for today's Republican Party. And Donald Trump's kind of the embodiment of all the anti-Washington notions.
Yeah, it's sad to say like that about the entire Republican Party. But I would say definitely Trump himself.
Yeah.
I would say so far removed, and just the fact that, people were so surprised. I was talking with a guy about this that Joe Biden would be willing to step down, and I think part of that is because they can't even fathom because we're so used to people like Trump that just they cling on to power, and they. Really, most politicians, they just, once you get that power, you don't want to give it up.
Well, we actually have a reference point for this. So, this is, in all the conversations that I have with Trump supporters or centrists who are just shy Trump supporters, this conversation point of comparison comes up because, what Trump apologists do is they take Trump's worst attributes and say, well, the Democrats do it too. But there is no analog to what we saw, not just on January 6th, but also in the entire
What about the BLM riots?
Exactly. Not even a point of comparison, right? I mean, in so many different ways. But an easy way to dispute this is, when Donald Trump won the election in 2016, Joe Biden was the vice president of the United States.
Yeah.
Think about it. Trump would have you believe that his vice president could just toss out votes he didn't like, right? There's discretion when the vice president presides over the certification of the electoral count. Joe Biden, why couldn't Joe Biden, by that logic, have said, you know what, I don't like this Donald Trump guy, I'm going to go with Hillary Clinton. It didn't happen. So at the end of the day, for all their faults, the Democratic Party is just, they observe that Cincinnatus principle of relinquishing power. And they did it with Donald Trump. Hell, another example is during COVID. In 2020, it was an election year. They'd already tried to impeach then President Trump, and they worked bipartisanly with him on 2 major COVID stimulus packages, knowing in an election year he'd get the credit for it.
Yeah, he even put his name on the check.
He even put his name on the check, but that check wouldn't have been possible had Democrats not backed the HEROES Act and the CARES Act. And so the point is, and for all their faults, the Democratic Party is willing to work in good faith, even to their own detriment politically.
And the CARES Act, some economists say that it contributed to the inflation we saw the next year and the year after. That's another thing I hate that. I guess this is a whole other issue, but presidents don't really have that much control over the economy.
No, they don't.
I'm making a video about that as well. Sure, they can nominate a chairman of the Federal Reserve, which Jerome Powell is the current one. He's been in there for
Trump was the one who appointed
administrations.
Trump appointed him in the first place. So again, if you take issue with Powell, right, and want to blame Powell's policies on Biden, it's true that Biden reappointed him, but Trump was the one who put him in that position in the first place. But to your point, we tend to get so reductive. Why did so and so make these gas prices so high? That's not how it works.
Yeah.
There's no lever that a president can pull to lower gas prices. Do you think Biden would have pulled?
He would have pulled it. Yeah.
Cranked that lever down already.
I was gonna say, if presidents could control the economy, then that means you'd have one president from one political party, and then that political party would have power
Right.
for the rest of, because they would always just like make things better for the economy.
100%.
Because that's still the number one issue that most people vote on. As long as I've been alive, that has been the number one issue. They pull it time and time again. Number 2 and 3 always fluctuates. Like I think number 2 right now is
Immigration.
border security. Yeah.
And to your point, what's interesting is we actually just saw a Financial Times poll, and I was stunned. But usually, not only is the economy the most important issue to Americans, but Republicans have enjoyed a decades-long perception advantage in polling when it comes to the economy. However, a highly reputable Financial Times poll came out within the past week, and it showed Vice President Harris 1 percentage point higher than Trump on the economy, which is stunning. And hopefully indicative of a trend. Because if we can neutralize the Republicans' polling advantage on the economy, that might be the ballgame. I agree that presidents they don't have a lot of direct control of the economy, but I'll also say
Perception.
if we're going to attribute economies to presidents, it is important to know that the economy generally, there have been meta-analyses done by this, that the economy generally performs better when Democrats are in the White House. Now, I'm not saying that's a causal effect,
Right.
but if we're going to establish, if Republicans want to establish that connection, then we should use it to our advantage.
Yeah, here.
Do you think
Question.
Walz's approach to taking power means that the Dems take the trifecta, the filibuster will be abolished?
So there again, Mr. Beat and I were talking about the filibuster on our 17-mile hike to the convention center. I said 4 mile earlier, but I think it's possible. So here's the thing. I'm sure some Democrats are reluctant to part with the filibuster for exactly the same reason that I'm actually reluctant to part with the filibuster, in that it is a tool that Democrats have used to stop bad legislation from Republicans when Republicans are in power. So I'll just say, number one, and Mr. Beat also talked about this, there is no filibuster in the Constitution. It's a Senate procedural tool, which generated, I think, in like the mid-1800s, late 1800s, I think.
It was introduced in the early 1800s, but it wasn't really regularly used until Woodrow Wilson, like 1900s.
Oh, okay, so under the Wilson administration. And it was radically different, right? That was the standing filibuster, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I mean, it's just...
The silent so the difference between standing filibuster and silent filibuster, we're okay generally with the standing filibuster, like where they're up there talking, but the silent filibuster is that's frustrating because it's just other ways that they can delay a quorum or not have one at all by just not showing up, not bringing, if not even getting, the vote doesn't even happen to begin with.
Right. It's too easy to abuse. So again, like, I think it's much more likely if there's a Democratic trifecta, especially with Walz there to really push that if he wants to. But I don't know if Democrats will part with it because they probably recognize there will eventually be a Republican administration. If it's like this MAGA Republican administration, we might want the filibuster in our back pocket to stop bad legislation from them. But here's the other thing. Republicans, this Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump kind of Republican party, they will get rid of the filibuster when and where it's convenient. If they find that their agenda is consistently thwarted by a filibuster, they'll do a carve-out or get rid of it. They've done it with Supreme Court justices. They initially, if you recall, you had to have a supermajority. You had to have 60 votes to confirm a Supreme Court nominee, but under Mitch McConnell, he made it a simple majority. So it's tough. But yeah, I think it'll be much more. I think their exceptions will be made more often if we get a trifecta after this election, which God forbid Republicans take any sort of control of government. We need all three. It's not enough to just keep the White House. We have to get the Senate and we have to get the House, because if we want to do anything, we're going to need all of them. Republicans will not work with a Harris administration to pass any sort of meaningful agenda.
Probably not. Yeah.
And don't forget, the House used to also have a filibuster.
That's right.
Both houses used to have it.
In case you didn't hear, the U.S. House of Representatives, there was also a form of filibuster. Imagine if that was the case today. So these things that are not in the Constitution, that we just assume, oh, well, we've been doing it that way for so long. No, you don't have to. You really don't.
No, you don't.
And also, things like structuring the Supreme Court. I think FDR may have been onto something by they called it packing the
God.
court, but you know, if you have a majority of both houses of Congress,
It's
on
music
board,
to my ears.
Yeah, like you can change the number of justices, and it doesn't have to be immediate. Like you would want it to be as less political as possible. You could spread it out over time, but that's exactly what Abraham Lincoln did during the Civil War. He called for more justices. The radical Republicans got him more justices. You were mentioning when Thomas Jefferson took over.
Yeah, the Adams and Jefferson administration. And again, this is even more telling than Lincoln, because all the time we hear this canard that the Supreme Court's supposed to be apolitical, and that's how the founding fathers envisioned it. But we have two founding fathers, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. They use the Supreme Court as a political football. Adams wins one term, loses to Thomas Jefferson upon re-election, and on his way out the door shrinks the Supreme Court so that Jefferson would not be able to fill any vacancies. So he used a founding father used the Supreme Court politically against another founding father. They're politicians in robes, and we just have to get past this idea that they're anything else.
And one of those that John Adams kept was John Marshall, Little John as I call him, the most influential Supreme Court justice in American history, the one who is the reason why the Supreme Court is even talked about today. Because if it weren't for him, he was a big reason for the Marbury v. Madison gave them the power of judicial review, which made, in many senses, the judicial branch relevant. Because you think that the vast majority of cases would not be on people's radar,
right?
Because it doesn't affect them. Usually it's a case-by-case basis. But when they said, oh, no, actually we can say, no, that law is unconstitutional, that holy freaking crap, that was a big deal. And
yeah, it went from just being a court of last resort, which every country has. There's always a final stop in terms of like appellate and appeals and things like that. There's always like the buck stops here. But when the Marshall Court assumed judicial review, it basically gave the Supreme Court, I won't say a trump card, but for all intents and purposes, it is over both Congress and the president, because then they could strike down executive orders, they could strike down federal statutory law, and quite frankly, this is why I keep saying, like when people say is abortion on the ballot, yes, because if we do get a trifecta, we could basically codify Roe protections into law. However, in theory, even if we were to codify Roe protections into law, it would just be a federal statute. And so if you get an enterprising Republican attorney general in a state wants to challenge it, in theory, the Supreme Court, this current Supreme Court, could strike it down. Because it's not an amendment.
It'd be interesting to see what John Roberts would have to say about that, because like his whole deal was like, hey, you know, there's no legislation, federal legislation. That's what he kept. I mean,
Right.
I just, yeah, that would be interesting.
But I mean, in theory, could they?
I'm sure they would try. Yeah.
In theory, they
Yeah.
could. There is nothing keeping them other than perhaps a sense of like political self-preservation that would prevent them from doing that. They have the power. That's why I'm saying this court. We have to change it. If you follow me on my channel, you know I complain a lot about the Supreme Court. It was intended to be the weakest of the branches, weaker than the president, weaker than Congress. In many ways, it has become the most powerful, and that's just wildly unacceptable.
Yeah.
We have a filibuster follow-up. Somebody is asking, would a softer filibuster of a 55-seat threshold be better instead?
No. I mean, statistically, I mean, it'd make it more likely that the filibuster could be overcome. But I mean, if you have, I have a really hard time imagining, well, I said that, and Biden got a number of bipartisan bills accomplished in the law, but it still seems increasingly, vanishingly unlikely that you could get 5 of today's Republicans in the Senate, particularly in an election year. If it's an election year, I don't think you could get 5 senators on the Republican side to sign up for a Democrat bill that says puppies are great. No, they may love puppies, but damn it, they are not going to give the Democrats a win in an election year. But yeah, I mean, that would be better than 60. Lowering that bar would be better than leaving it where it is or making it higher, in my opinion.
Yeah, 55 members for the filibuster, I think, is a good compromise. Maybe a way to ease eventually to just a simple majority. But yeah, the Senate is where famously bills go to die. And so
Would Mitch McConnell call himself the Grim Reaper?
yes, he called himself. He proudly called himself that, and he's not going to be with us that much longer. His influence is not much what it was. I think I think we're going to see a lot of changes in the Senate and all of Congress.
The question is for better or worse, because I mean, I'm with you. So McConnell says he'll still serve out his term, but he's going to resign from leadership. He may or may not seek re-election. But it makes you wonder, like, I obviously don't like Mitch McConnell, but Mitch McConnell, even he, I think, he reminds me of Dr. Frankenstein, right? Like, he created this monster, or helped create this monster, and it's turning on him. Yeah. And I think it, like, horrifies even him. Oh, yeah. I think that's what's gone on with today's Republican Party.
But he was also, like, he's kind of a genius with what he did. Like, he was able to, I mean, just kind of an evil genius, I guess. Sure. Yeah. Like,
he's a good Bond villain. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You know, I mean, when it came to his goals, which were tax cuts and packing the federal judiciary, check, he got what he wanted, right? He had no interest in, you know, sweeping infrastructure reform or like a robust progressive agenda. For him, it was about, you know, influencing, shading the federal government to have as much of a right-wing bent as possible. And he stacked the hell out of the federal judiciary. Although I should also say, I believe President Biden has finally exceeded the number of appointees under the Trump administration. I think Biden has actually finally lapped that. So good on him.
So I hate to interrupt, but two things. One, an account called I Am Mrs. T. I don't know if that was her.
Hey.
That is? Okay.
Yeah, Mrs. T's
She
here.
said she wasn't invited.
Yeah,
But
well,
more importantly, she wants to know where the filming location is because a delegate wants to talk to you guys.
we are in Media Row. So I can meet you outside of Media Row if you want.
At the creator thing. That's the
At the
easiest.
Creator Lounge, probably just outside the Creator Lounge. If they can send me an email at iamMrBeat@gmail.com, and then we can go from there. I would like to interview delegates, if ever possible.
What's in lounge right now?
I just told them to go there.
They should meet there.
Substitute while you go there. It's up to you.
I've been talking this whole time
Yeah, go
anyway.
ahead.
Yes, you guys haven't gone.
I don't want to take you away.
I still got part of Tim's torso, by the way.
Before you go, someone did want you to make a video on the New Deal and FDR's getting it passed.
Okay, yes, I've been wanting to make that video for about 10 years now, so we'll get. Thank you for the suggestion.
Mr. Beat said, "Deal to the New Deal video." That's it.
Yeah, somebody has super chatted $2. Thank you very much. Thoughts on automatic voter registration?
Abso-freaking-lutely. Why not? 100% automatic voter registration, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Make it as easy as possible. Yeah.
Why on earth would you want to impede voting? Unless, of course, you fear majority rule, like Republicans do. What's up, IRI?
We're chilling, man. No?
You're at political Woodstock.
This is fun. I've
It
never
is.
been to a convention before.
I have not.
Okay.
No.
I've never been to one. Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm with my people. Everyone here is on the same page as me.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I feel like we should have done this at the Republican National Convention, too. Like, why not? Like,
I would love to, sure.
yeah, 100%.
You
Charlie
and I
Kirk.
aren't going to fight with people. We'll just have fun.
Charlie Kirk is apparently walking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they welcome different voices as long as you're not disruptive. Like,
No.
There's a Newsmax booth that we walked by.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Charlie Kirk was disruptive, and the They Not Like Us kid basically like got in his face right like 30 seconds into Charlie Kirk being annoying.
Well, 30 seconds into Charlie Kirk being annoying. I mean, Charlie Kirk's like annoying at 0 seconds, so I'm surprised he waited 30. That's good. That's very
Really
patient.
courteous of him, yeah.
Yes, quite.
I'm sure he's here just to instigate anyways. He
Sure.
probably got what he wanted. He got a viral clip and he's gone in 5 minutes. So whatever.
Charlie Kirk, we're going to destroy you with calm and a reasonable conversation. Have a seat, sir. Yeah.
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 So hopefully we'll get some more people come here to interview because now it's approaching 5 o'clock. So I imagine this is when people start arriving because the events start this evening. So
I think that the president saw Cenk Uygur. I'd love to talk to Cenk Uygur.
we can have a fun.
Yeah, I saw Anna Kasparian at the food truck outside. Mr. Beat and I did.
That's fun. She's a big character.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to meet Manu.
Manu Raju, yeah,
I tell
we
you.
did. CNN, yeah.
That's to me that he's like a hero because he's just so cool, man, and he's like works that Capitol Hill beat like nobody.
He does, and I said that the cool thing about Manu compared to basically anybody else is he's the only reporter I've seen who can chill Marjorie Greene out. Marjorie Taylor Greene loses her mind at the drop of a hat. But
Has he
she's
interviewed?
chill.
He does
Multiple
I
times.
didn't remember.
She takes his questions. Like, he doesn't have to chase her down.
Whoa.
She takes his questions, and she stays calm and respectful for Marge with him. I think it's amazing.
Manu seems to have like priority on Capitol Hill. There'll be that whole scrum of all these reporters, and he's just like da da da, and they all get quiet.
That's
For
right.
some reason, he is like gets priority queue on it, and he's like the most respected Capitol Hill reporter.
Having been in multiple groups with you over the past year, I feel like you're the Manu Raju of this
I don't
group.
know. You think the room quiets when I speak?
100%. Guy walks up. He's got a dapper suit. You know what I'm saying? He's got the pocket square in. The lights dim a little bit. Everyone's like,
Yeah, he's that guy.
From the chat, how do y'all feel about being the new wave of Dems? And what are y'all's reasons for getting in this level of politics?
What do you think? What do you think new wave of Dems means? What do you think they mean by that?
maybe they just mean like younger Democrats, because I think the perception is for a lot of people that the Democratic Party is like a gerontocracy, right?
It's true.
And I mean, it's true that the leadership is a bit old, but like, I mean, for me personally, I've just always had an interest in politics. I've always been a C-SPAN junkie, even when I was in high school.
Wow.
I loved political dramas like The West Wing and others as well, and Boston Legal, which is more of a legal drama, but that sort of that area where people were communicating and debating passionately ideas, and over time it just really metastasized into like a genuine love of real life politics, and it matters, man. This stuff matters.
Where did that come from, that interest in politics in high school? Because usually in high school it comes from like parents or something like that.
So I had apolitical parents. My late mother was never particularly political, and unfortunately, when she did get political, she became a Trump supporter.
Oh.
Yeah, and then towards the end of her life, she went on a trip to Europe, to Germany, and she came back much softer in her political beliefs. And I think had she survived cancer, that she would have had like a political redemption arc, so to speak, or like an about face. My father was never particularly political either, but he voted more often than my mother, and he had a history of bipartisan voting. So he voted for President Clinton twice. He voted for President Obama once after the ACA was passed. Then he didn't like that because his insurance premiums went up. So he voted for Governor Romney and then Donald Trump twice. But January 6th blacklisted Trump for him. So
wow, so your family's had a roller coaster with politics.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
But like some really strong influences, like my paternal grandmother and my father's older sister, my aunt, they were very strong liberal Democrats, and so a lot of the values and stuff just really, if they found a political home, it was with the Democrats. It was just kind of a no-brainer.
Dang.
What about you?
No, I wasn't really interested in politics till Trump got elected. I mean, I paid attention, I was there for hope in 2008,
right.
But I fell off after that. And once Trump got elected, I said, holy cow, I got to get more involved, and went to my first protest. It was the travel ban at LAX, Los Angeles International. And I would go out and make little videos for Instagram, and then started streaming on Twitch after about a year. But yeah, I really wasn't into politics. I was just an actor living my life. That's a privilege now, I realize.
Sure. What's interesting is you mentioned like the Trump era, and it's so fascinating because like I paid attention to politics. I got a political science degree, and so the election in 2016 rolls about, and I'm convinced that Secretary Clinton's going to win this election. I remember so vividly, I was at a bar with friends election night 2016, and I went to bed, and she was down in the polls. But I was like, there's no way we're going to elect Donald Trump. And so I woke up the next morning to the shock of my life. But here's the thing. I actually went through an enlightened centrist arc.
Okay.
So like being
you know that lane.
I do, which is why I have so much contempt for it, because a buddy who's actually here, my good friend Justin Thurman, who runs Campaign Deputy, he snapped me out of it because I remember at the time being so fixated on what I thought was the latest silly tweet from AOC or whatever, and he finally snapped me out of it. He's like, Josiah, you've only ever voted Democrat. You would vote for AOC if you were in her district. Why are you so concerned with what she says on Twitter? And I'm like, well, this and well, that. And he said, what about what Donald Trump says?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I didn't vote for Trump. And he goes, but think about it. You are more concerned with what a junior congresswoman, one of 35 people in the House says, but you are not concerning yourself with what the most powerful man in the world is saying. He says, you are stepping over $1. for the sake of a nickel.
Yeah.
And that just like shattered my spell. And that is why, folks, I go so hard on enlightened centrists, because I realize there's a brain rot to it. There's like, I'm going to fixate on this relatively minor issue and completely ignore the bigger problem. And it's so easy for anyone to fall into, and I say that because I myself fell into it.
Well, it's easier in the sense that you don't have to go any further. You know this is wrong, and you don't have to learn more. You don't have to be more involved. It's not to criticize you, but it's like you found a solution. It's all AOC's fault. It's these two extreme fringe elements.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't need to look any further.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just so easy. I mean, especially when, you had a YouTube algorithm at the time that was feeding you nonstop Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro, and You Can't Cuck the Tuck Volume 43 about Tucker Carlson and stuff like that. That stuff, like, it can influence anybody. That's what I'm saying. Like, and that's why I go hard against it now, is because it's like, we have an election coming up where there are two stark choices. And I know IRI is the optimist. I'm a cynic. I tend to be the glass is half empty kind of guy. And I know there are problems with the Democratic Party, but there's just no choice here. Like, on its worst day, the DNC, the Democratic Party, is just the better party for your vote, in my opinion, because even if you're in a red state, even if you're a conservative voter, I mean, I don't think Republican policies really get you anywhere.
No, and I would like to see the Republican Party get back to business, because we can fight over how much to have an extended child tax credit.
Sure.
We can talk about what to do with subsidies for health care. I'm happy to talk about these ideas, as long as we all have the same goal in mind. And it does seem like there could be some issues that come along like that, like housing. Right now you're seeing the Republicans focus on housing a bit too. They're not offering much except drill, baby, drill, and shut the border. But maybe we can get them back to reality, and we can say, listen, what can we do here, guys? Can we do something?
But I think you also have to create an environment where there's a permission structure for Republicans to work bipartisanly with Democrats. And what I mean is, I'm not saying Democrats have to do that, because we have. I'm saying that the Republican Party within itself has to create an incentive structure where it's like, hey, it's okay to work with. The example I was using with Mr. B when you stepped out was 2020 to me is just like the perfect embodiment of how willing Democrats are to work in good faith with Republicans. So picture it. Donald Trump's president. It's an election year. We already tried to impeach him. There is the biggest, epidemic or pandemic in a century. It would be so easy for just cynical politics to obstruct Trump as he tries to manage this crisis. Not that he really tried or did it particularly well, but instead what Democrats did during an election year against a man whom they despise, they worked in good faith with him to pass sweeping stimulus that he would get the credit for.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
We understood, okay, doing the work for the American people, even if it means giving him a political win, so be it. There is no appetite for that within the Republican Party.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's no appetite for bipartisanship in the Republican Party. There's a little bit in the Democratic Party. It's not a lot.
But
There's
orders
a
of
little.
magnitude more than what you can find in the GOP. Yeah.
Zip. You cannot run on bipartisanship
No.
as a Republican. You will lose.
You can't own the libs if you work with them, right?
You will lose. And that, to me, is a fatal flaw of our politics right now. But we'll see what happens. I think the election will wake some of them up. I think they're going to have quite a moment in November.
Yeah.
I always call centrists embarrassed Republicans.
Yeah,
You think
shy
I'm wrong?
Republicans. No, I mean, we've had these engagements. I make this a thing in my on my social media presence. I have not met a centrist, somebody who identifies as a centrist, that if you don't go through their social media feed, they're not spending 90% of their time complaining about the left or Democrats or President Biden or Vice President Harris. A centrist, in my opinion, is an embarrassed Republican. I've not met a single exception to the contrary.
Yeah. That's why I don't have patience for it, because you're telling me that you've studied all the issues, that you know both sides' positions, that you know and you agree with this, and that. I don't think there's a single person out there who knows anything about even one issue that could say that. Most people have no clue, right? Guns, immigration, the border. I'm a centrist. No, you're not. You don't know either side's position.
No, 100%. I mean, again, I don't know. The thing that frustrates me is, like, as adults, we all have, the ability to recognize meaningful distinctions between two things. So the example I always go through, because I love hyperbolic examples because it's easy. I know it's easy. When people use hyperbolic examples, for me, it helps me conceptualize things a lot quicker. So you think about crime. All kinds of crime out there. shoplifting and murder are not the same. If somebody says, oh, here's the shoplifter, here's this murderer, they're both criminals, and that's the end of the analysis, it's lazy and dishonest and really stupid, quite frankly. We have to be able to recognize meaningful distinctions. And likewise, you can do that. You should do that in politics.
Sure.
No one's saying that you Sure. Yeah.
I don't know if he's in your district.
Is this him?
Mecklenburg. Yeah, I live in Charlotte. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
When do you want?
Sure.
That'd be great.
Can you give me 10 minutes? Yeah, give me 10 minutes. Let me wrap up with this. Yeah. What's up, Micah? Hey, good to see you. Micah, he works with Convoy. You know Micah?
No.
This is IRI. I'm really important.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah.
Which now?
Well, this is just like impromptu. We're just solving the world's problems. Micah Irvin, come on. Yeah.
Hey, folks.
Yeah. He does
Who's
three
he with?
wonks. He does 3 wonks with the Convoy. He's a content creator.
Oh, with the
yeah,
Convoy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
Stock Done Left. Yeah. And Jen's like aren't you with a bunch of other Gen Z creators like on tour
I do.
right now?
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
We did that. I'm on the executive committee of the TDP. That's kind of how I got here.
What is that?
That's the executive committee of the TDP.
What's TDP?
Oh, Texas Democratic Party. So
Oh, cool.
I just assume people know what that means.
No, I
That's
know.
super abnormal.
Nice.
What do you do?
I'm a live streamer on Twitch.
The blue one?
Yeah. What's your
Either
username?
one.
But I'm really, I don't use Instagram much, but I use Twitter. I'm really important. Should
Do you
promote.
want anything?
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's the name I go by.
that's
I'm really important.
I'll let you do your own thing.
Yeah,
He's going to interview a sheriff here in a moment.
we are.
We? No,
We are.
you are. I don't know anything about this guy. What am I going to ask him?
Yes, you do.
No, I don't know. I'm just gonna stand here.
Like real quick, I'm
Sheriff
gonna
Gary
take a selfie.
McFadden. Say what?
You want him in? You in? Nice.
Yeah. Hey, man. DM me. Are you going to be here for the whole?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you bumped into Adam? Yeah. Well, he's somewhere. He's out wandering around. But we'll definitely do something. Okay.
Here you go, the sheriff. Here you go.
Yeah.
So this is your county?
Apparently. And this is why it's really important to know your local politics. Sheriff? Hey, Josiah with Pondering Politics. How are you?
I'm wonderful. And you?
I'm doing very well.
Sure.
Yes, sir. We'll see. So far, so
Today
good.
is Monday.
I know. I can't imagine how chaotic it's going to be on Thursday.
Oh, it is coming.
Yeah.
It's coming, whether you want it or not.
So we have Sheriff Gary McFadden
Yes,
here. You are Sheriff Mecklenburg?
Charlotte,
Yeah,
Mecklenburg,
Yes, sir,
North
sir.
Carolina.
I just moved to Charlotte back in July of
Get outta here.
2022. So yeah.
Where do you live?
South End. I think
Oh,
about
that's
it, yeah.
terrible.
What? No,
That's-
just say that. Yeah.
Nah, that's y'all. That's y'all. Where at in South End?
There's a Barnes and Noble nearby. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's the place to go. Though.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. So what's funny is I don't know. I lived in Louisville, Kentucky.
No, you're in the
for-
best.
Yeah.
You're in the most vibrant part of the city right now. It is. We laugh because people start moving to warehouses. Trains comes up, and don't go nowhere.
Yeah. The when I first moved there, I lived off of Central, so
Yeah,
like in Plaza
different.
Midwood, but it was fun. Like it was energetic. Like a
No,
lot of young
Plaza
people
Midwood
there.
is Thomas Avenue and all of that. That's
Yeah.
good. But it's nothing compared to South End.
No, I love it there. My girlfriend and I just moved into a place, and it's amazing. So
Well, I'm your sheriff.
that's right. You are sheriff. So let's talk because when I first moved to Charlotte, when I was making the decision to move to Charlotte, the thing that attracted me to it was one of the fastest growing cities in the country.
Still is.
Clean, green, beautiful skyline, and yet I had my first experience with crime in Charlotte. For the first time, I actually had
Car broken into.
yes,
Basic.
sheriff, yep, yeah.
That's-
But I'm told
That's-
it's like
that's-
everywhere.
That's Charlotte's crime.
Yeah.
Car break-ins.
Yeah, they weren't able to steal it, and the officer who notified me said that it's like part of a national trend for
What kind of car? Kia?
Kia. You got it right.
Kia,
Yeah.
they have this thing called the Kia Boys.
Okay.
That's what
I did not know what's that.
They're called the Kia. It's actually, if you Google in the short, it's Kia Boys, and they get online and dare each other how many cars you can steal.
Gotcha. He did say it was like a TikTok trend or something
10
like that.
years ago, it was Honda Accord, because you could actually break the plastic on the Honda and actually push two little metal pieces together to crank the car.
Gotcha. Well,
Actually, the reason I said that because we went to buy my daughter a Kia the other day. We said, nah. She said, no, Kia Boys will have it the other day. So.
well, other than that, I mean, it's the. So again, I spent most of my experience with cities, besides like visiting New York City or whatever. I lived in Louisville, Kentucky for the longest time, and then I moved from Louisville
You
to
enjoy
Charlotte.
Charlotte. We'll throw a party just to throw a party.
Yeah.
Street party.
But I mean, like, I felt so safe there. So you tell me what the crime situation is like
I've
in
been there for
Charlotte.
43. I've been a cop for 43 years. So it's compared to other cities, we don't have no crime. And I tell people that I've seen where South End just completely broke.
Yeah.
And then the guy, I can't think of his name now, it starts with an M. He started to develop that area, and then he just went bananas. And he made millions, and he left.
Yeah, it seems like it's constantly growing. You can't drive like an eighth of a mile without seeing like some sort of major construction project. But yeah, I see very little by way of crime. I feel safe. Like, I mean, when my friends and I go bar hopping in Uptown,
Big time,
or
man.
that, like, you just feel
Wait
safe
till the
there.
epicenter opens up again. The epicenter, I don't know if you've been there yet, but the epicenter is a small.
What's left of it is what I've been
If you
to,
were
yeah.
there 10 years ago, you
Yeah.
would have parked your car and you would have spent 10 hours there.
Yeah, I've seen pictures like of what it was prior to the pandemic. Yeah.
So it's coming back a little, so we think it's going to be all right.
So you've been a sheriff for decades.
No, I was
Or
a
officer.
homicide detective from 1981 to 2011. Retired for 8 years, still working with the police department, and then somebody said run for sheriff. So this is my 43rd year. So some people talking about crime and everything. I'm not looking at that. I'm talking about what I know. It's different. Yeah.
Did you spend all of your law enforcement career in Charlotte?
Every day.
Wow. So you that is an intimate knowledge of that county and the city, 100%. What kept you in Charlotte? Like, did you ever think about
I look at all other cities, economy-wise, money-wise, what can I get for my bucks? You know, like I bought this house on a golf course in Huntersville.
Okay.
20 years ago, 25 years ago. I paid $220 for that house. For the house was worth. I'm waiting for the right person to come by.
Yeah.
You know,
And say goodbye to it.
670. You got to come up a couple more. 670. So my neighbor sold his house the other day for 660. So I'm waiting for, because I have a bigger backyard, a little bit more square footage. 670, 700,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the real estate value, like everything is exceptional in Charlotte.
And then traffic, traffic, they talk about traffic, there's no traffic in Charlotte.
No, I can testify to that too. Like, so I work obviously like doing content creation. I work from home, but when I travel, even during rush hour, it's nothing compared to Louisville or Nashville, even though both of those cities are smaller than Charlotte. But as I'm like getting into like the politics scene in North Carolina, I understand that we have Mark Robinson running for governor against Attorney General Stein. I know that there were some issues with like more local politics. Tricia Cotham running as a progressive Democrat and then flipping and giving the Republicans a supermajority. But when it comes to running for sheriff, what's that politics like? What is
Well, it's hard. It's very hard. The politics of that is very hard because we are elected by the people.
Yeah.
We're the only law enforcement agency elected by the people. So the people expect us to listen to them 99% of the time, and we do. The biggest thing that we're dealing with now is fentanyl. Fentanyl is a huge problem across the country, and in Mecklenburg we deal with the same thing. One of the next biggest thing that people don't address is mental health. Then we can hire a lot of our officers, but retention is an issue. So we go through all of these values, and people look to us to answer. So we try to answer. And so I enjoy this part of my law enforcement career now more than ever.
Is it, the conventional wisdom is like, again, like on on state and federal level, politics tends to be very partisan. You have Democrats versus Republicans. I imagine that when you're running in law enforcement, it's not quite as partisan, right? Because it's usually associated law enforcement with Republicans and conservative values. I have to imagine you've got to appeal to a wide number of people.
We are elected by the people, Democrat and Republican. We have to answer to the people, Democrat or Republican. So we're just, as people say, we're the people's sheriff.
Right.
And so we answer to the problems and help with the values of our community. We don't get into blue or red.
Right.
You can't. And you have to understand that people on both sides vote for us and support us. And people don't get that. A lot of people don't understand. People trust the sheriff more than they trust anybody. And we hear, if I show you my phone today, I get some unbelievable calls because they know the sheriff can take care of it. And so with this part, we just want to help out our poor citizens in America that's going through all this tragedy and drama and trauma. And we just want somebody to listen. That's it.
You mentioned that fentanyl is a major problem in Charlotte. I think a lot of people would be surprised because, you know, North Carolina is not like a border state or anything like that, so it's really infiltrated deep into the United States.
What happens, people get it mixed up. Border is a border. That's Texas, and all my fellow sheriff got that problem with an influx of people coming into the United States and who are bringing drugs. But if you ask the White House and some other people, 90% of the fentanyl product comes through legal entry points because it's in such a small quantity.
Right.
They don't have to bootleg it in. They just carry it in their suitcase. And so we're trying to introduce something now that's a bill that comes out that I think it's if it's $800 of value, nobody inspects it. Imagine that. So you said, I got this in my bag. Is anything of value? If it's $800 less, nobody inspects it.
Yeah, it seems like a loophole.
It is a loophole.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that we're going to hope to ask whoever's in office to help us with, including fentanyl, including mental health, and retention. And we got a list. And we just want them to listen to our voice, because what's going to happen if they don't, you're going to have a crisis.
Did you say it's a crisis already, or it's not quite yet?
It is a crisis now.
Yeah.
It's a crisis, but it's a manageable crisis if the right people are involved. And that's the problem that they don't. A lot of times they have what I would say just the talking heads. You know, when you go to the cities, you get the known politician, the known person at the church, the known person in the neighborhood, and who is left out. And we're sitting on a panel trying to answer their questions. I've probably been to 500 of those panels in my career. Just come to the panels and ask a bunch of questions and make me look like we don't know what we're talking about, but then what do we do about the community? And that's what we want to address. At some point, which is now, we need to address the causes of this. Mental health, believe it or not, local sheriff's offices are now your county hospitals. We have something that nobody's talking about right now. It's called the graying population. I have over 60 to 70 people inside my detention center that's above the age of 60. The oldest person I have in there now is 80-some years old. And it's called graying. So then who's going to take care of their health care while they're there? Sheriffs. So these are the things that most people don't think about when they're talking about political parties. But here's what happens. And I invite you to come. I wish you'd come and see what we do inside our detention center is so different than anybody else. And we're looking for somebody to listen to us and help me and my fellow sheriffs across America. Because now we are the county hospitals. We are social services. In Charlotte-Mecklenburg, you're going to hear that because I do mental health so well, I'm going to open up a 25-bed unit for all sheriffs to send one or two of their severely troubled behavioral health, mental health person to me to get treatment. So imagine sheriffs from around North Carolina are going to send people who have behavioral health problems to another county jail to receive mental health services.
That's stunning. Is it like a flagship program, like
I am.
to show them how they can handle it back?
But they're not going to be able to handle it because they don't have the funds and the resources. I'm the biggest and the largest sheriff's office, and I have the biggest facility, and I have the space and the manpower to do it. So imagine 99 sheriffs are going to count on me to help people get better mentally So they're either going to be released or they can go forward in court. It's called incapable to proceed.
Capable to proceed.
ITP.
With all this going on, you're talking about, an increasing crisis because of fentanyl. You're talking about a mental health issue. And you've been doing this for 40 years. Why seek re-election? I feel like a lot of people would be like, oh, to heck with this. I've done my part.
Because I can point to a lot of people that has been helped. I can see people who have businesses. I can see them in the restaurant. I can see people who have trucking businesses that we have helped. I have seen people become better and walk out of that facility. I have a guy that we had in 2019. He's going to open his own clothing line only because I put him in a suit inside the detention center. And he said when he went home, his mother never, ever said, I want to see you do anything else. So we are the melting pot, and people don't look at it, and that's why we invite everybody to come in. This is not just custody. I mean, it is custody and care, but now we are forced to do more because these people stay here inside our detention center. If I would ask you right now, and I can show it to you, the longest person who is waiting inside my detention center now, how long do you think that'd be?
Waiting inside?
Waiting inside to go to court.
A year.
Give me another.
2 years.
Keep on going.
5.
I'll tell you when to start.
7.
Tell you when to start.
Seems pretty high.
Huh?
10 years.
You close.
12.
Almost. 14.
15. Oh, wow.
14 years waiting to go to court. So then we can have him on medication up and down, but then at some time he loses hope. And when he loses hope, something happens, and then what happens? He takes, what does that say?
Book date? 2010, 2019, 2019.
These are all people, these are the top 10 inside my detention center.
Wow. So you're looking to dramatically shrink that time.
Yeah, but I'm saying that a person is waiting for psychiatric treatment, waiting for no matter how bad the crime is, he's waiting 10 years.
That he can never get back. Yeah. So you would say that, to call it like unfinished business, the fact that after all these years with these crises, you still have more to do?
Yes.
And this,
Yes. I was a homicide detective for 22 years. Still have the ring. So I can address it from my perspective and my standpoint. Clearly, not data, not a study, is what I know personally to help. And that's why I love being the sheriff, because the sheriff's responsibility is to handle all of this, but who's going to help us? And people don't look at it as, that's not so. Okay. You don't think this guy has health problems after 14 years? You don't think he's going to have mental health problems after 14 years?
Let me ask you just last question, I guess, is before you leave, where can people find more information about your campaign and everything else?
Oh, no, I'm not even campaigning.
Oh, you're not?
No.
This is
everyday, please listen to us, help us. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm in office, been in office, and so we're just saying, can somebody listen to us? Somebody needs to listen, because this is going to spiral out of a place. That's it. We can show this all day. We just want somebody. This is a good time to say, hey, if you want to be the vice president and you want to be the president, come and visit a detention center. Don't read it. Come and sit. I'll spend 2 days with you, and let's see how we can help. Let's see how we can fund that. Let's see what retention looks like. That's all we're asking.
Have you been able to hear from Attorney General Stein or Lieutenant Governor Robinson?
I heard from both of them, but I want them to visit and sit down. They both have good platforms, but the platforms are basic.
Gotcha.
When they start talking about sheriffs, mental health, and Josh Stein has talked about fentanyl, and he has a great lead on that, and we have talked about it, and I'm hoping that we can have more conversation about it. It is that mental health, retention, and all for law enforcement. Mental health for both sides, law enforcement and the community. And I've had conversation with Josh Stein. I want to have more, but I think not the political conversation in the political atmosphere. Elected or not, still come and see us, and maybe you can be a voice. come inside and take a look, not just for that 10 minutes, and not just to show me this, show me that. Come and be in depth of what we're doing. And that's why people say, why are you doing this? Because I'm just trying to make better citizens. Why? If not, the crime is going to continue. If we don't help these people while we have care in custody, they're going to come out and do their thing again, over and over again. And guess who pays? You and I. You and I will pay for their housing. You and I will pay for. Imagine we're paying for a guy who's been in
waiting 14 years. Yeah.
So if you imagine, say, if you really do a story, ask them 14 years time how much per day. Direct cost, indirect cost. See, direct cost is what it costs you to be inside my facility. Here's what direct cost is, indirect. Direct cost is what you pay when you check into the hotel. But then when they add all the things up that you're going to do inside that hotel, that's the indirect cost.
Yeah, I imagine after 14 years it's staggering.
Yeah, that's the towels, that's the water, that's everything else. So you think you're just paying for the room. No, you're paying for all the amenities.
Right.
The same thing with these people. Food, health care, laundry, and my officer's time.
Well,
these are the conversations we wish we could have with them.
Yeah, sounds like
that's
you're
why we're
making
here.
the rounds, yeah.
Well, they have to listen to us at some point.
Yeah. Well, Sheriff, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. And yeah, I'll say, as somebody who lives in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, you've done a great job so
Come
far.
on down.
I love that city. Love it so much.
Come on down.
Yeah,
We'll be glad anytime. If you want to come down and take a look yourself.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I guarantee you, your eyes will be open. You will say, never thought of it.
No, I mean, when you sat
Culinary
down.
school?
Sorry?
I have a culinary school.
You have a culinary school?
Culinary school.
Really?
I have a barber school. 54 people have left with a business license. That's mean they have left with an LLC website.
And not just a detention facility, kind of a rehabilitation facility in many respects too. Send them back out and hopefully being able to make better lives.
I'll tell you how much we have intrigued. You ever heard of Coldplay?
Yeah.
Coldplay is building a recording studio inside my detention center.
What? You heard that from Coldplay. Going to be recording at Sheriff McFadden's detention facility. All right. Appreciate it, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
God bless you. And if you need my number, I'll give it to you if you want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially since we're neighbors.
Neighbor. That's my neighbor.
Okay, what's up, guys? I'm just gonna fill some time here while Josiah is talking to his sheriff.
Handling some speeding issues.
Who knows? An old drunk driving violation he wanted to get dismissed, I think he said. Yeah. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I know your buddy Mr. Beat's not here. He'll be back soon, I'm sure. And we're kind of just sitting here letting people come to us if they walk by and want to do an interview. So if we see anybody, we grab them. So this is kind of like a guerrilla, I don't know, interviewing or whatever. So bear with us. We're kind of doing it by the seat of our pants. But this is fun, though. It's a good experience so far. I don't know. Again, if you guys don't know me, I go by I'm Really Important. I'm a live streamer on Twitch. And my channel focuses like on Congress and what's going on in Capitol Hill. I also produce videos for Occupy Democrats, pretty big channel on YouTube. But I've known Josiah for a while, great guy, and I told him, we don't get to pick who gets successful in this industry, and so for someone like him, who's such a great guy, to see such success is awesome, so super happy for him. Oh, you got Mr. Beat coming back.
Do you want to do the three of you? All right, sit up in the chair. I'm going to move the chair in because we get the three of you. Josiah Beat and Aaron. Let's, how did we set it up last time? No. Yep. Like, yeah, we'll just, no, just like, here.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can you get in so in this chair? You know what you need to do? Or, just cross the legs together. And
We'll figure it out. It's
you know.
cool, man.
All right.
Oh, yeah. More.
Oh. Hello.
We're gonna crowd the.
I spoke with some delegates.
Actual delegates.
Yeah.
From which state?
Texas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And what's his name? Ran into and I. Oh gosh. He's a famous conservative writer that I follow. And I dorked out. That's fanboyed it up.
Hell yeah.
Can't remember his name right
That's
now.
how I was when I met Manu Raju. Do you know Manu Raju from CNN?
Yeah.
Capitol Hill
somewhat.
reporter.
Yeah.
When he speaks, the other reporters get silent.
David Brooks, that's his name.
Oh, you met David Brooks?
Yeah, he was out there. I was like, oh,
Holy, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Brooks and Capehart. I used to watch
Yeah.
Brooks, Shields and Brooks.
Are you a PBS junkie like me?
I love NewsHour.
I guess I've seen you maybe react to something from them. I don't know.
I force NewsHour on my audience a lot.
Okay. You know, my favorite PBS show is Frontline.
I love Frontline, yeah. Frontline's great.
That's
2 hour
good.
the movies
You
are
can sit
fantastic.
down, yeah, you know.
Did you see the latest one on Biden? It was awesome.
The one where he announced that he's, no, I keep
The
getting
decision.
recommended. I haven't found time to watch it yet.
Trump wants to tap Elon for a cabinet position.
Oh, of course he does.
Right.
So breaking news, no, I don't know.
That's cool. David Brooks, yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of,
You say he's conservative? I don't know about that.
now he's more associated with the left than the
I
right.
think he's a centrist liberal.
Because, the Republican Party kind of left him.
I've never associated him with the right, but I don't recall his politics years ago. But I've always thought of him as sort of centrist, like left of center. He got into some heat with his meal at the airport. You remember that with the double whiskey? And he's like, "Inflation's out of control." And it's like,
Oh,
bro,
that
you're-
tweet?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He had to
yeah.
apologize. That was funny.
Well, it's social media is hard. Yeah, I've seen you get into back and forth on there a little bit.
Yeah. There's something about me that really upsets people when I say things on Twitter.
I think it's because you're a pretty chill guy and it's almost and they're the ones all animated, and so it kind of has more authority. Sometimes I feel like I have the most lukewarm takes, and people still they freak out.
Yeah.
I'll say something that 80% of the country agrees with, but somehow it just ends up being a dumpster fire
Me
underneath.
too.
Yeah.
Well, outrage is rewarded. I learned that a while ago.
Yeah.
Twitter rewards outrage. So you have to post something that is borderline cringe, but also people can't resist saying something. So a lot of times I'll lean into that, and I'll post something that I know people are going to react one way or the other, whether they get mad at me or not. And that's the only way to get engagement on there. Because there's so much noise. There's so much competition.
Yeah.
You have to be say something that forces a reaction. It's sad because usually it's negative.
Yeah.
You
High
go on there
arousal
and-
emotions.
Yeah, if you go on there and say, "Hey, we cleared out the dog shelter this week," you're gonna get 16 likes.
You communist!
Yeah, we adopted every dog in the local shelter. Good for you, but if you go on there and you start punching people, and they're like, "Whoa, yeah."
Yeah, one time I had a conversation with my dad about this. It's why don't they focus more on the good news stories and everything? I would watch that. I'm
Yeah,
like, Dad,
sure.
no, you wouldn't. I see what you read the Epoch Times.
Right.
We're right over here, by the way. So I know they got the outrage thing down.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know.
it's the thing. The way I try to justify it is I get them outraged, but then I educate them.
Yeah.
I trick them into learning.
Sure. Any way you can grab their attention.
Yeah, you're just grabbing them. It's
Right.
just they're on the street and you're just trying. Come on.
That's what I do.
Here's the history of the 14th Amendment. You're gonna listen.
I agree, but that's why I'm okay with being a little outrageous and causing some hurt feelings because
Right.
it's worth it,
Yeah, totally.
Hello.
Well, what happened when I was gone? Anything exciting?
We got to interview a sheriff.
Yeah?
Well, Josiah did. But that was it, yeah, nothing else.
An actual sheriff or
The sheriff.
The
Sheriff of his
The
county.
sheriff came to town.
All right, yeah. So if you're just joining us, I saw
was
there's
Tia. I have to talk to her. Hold on.
We'll get,
Hold on,
get
be
him
right
over
back.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just if you're just joining us, we've we're at this thing called the DNC, Democratic National Convention, where they formally nominate who they're going to run for president. Rumor has it it's it's not Josiah. It's Kamala Harris, and then they even are going to have a running mate with her. This dude named Tim Walz. It's kind of crazy because if you were to tell us this a year ago, we would have probably been like, "What? Huh?"
Yeah, I never thought that Tim Walz would be a running mate. I mean, so
Such a surprise.
it is.
Even
Yeah.
the fact that Biden dropped out still, I'm still getting over it.
It's antithetical to typically what presidents do when they can. You know, again, we talked about that, having that Cincinnatus principle of handing over power. But, at the end of the day, I think he was finally sufficiently persuaded that, he was not the best chance of defeating Donald Trump, and he put his personal ambitions aside. I think that he should be lauded for it. And I imagine he will get a hero's celebration and reception.
Yeah,
tonight.
so reminder tonight, he's supposed to be speaking, and as well as Jill Biden and AOC. Things are already kind of getting rolling, I think, inside, because it started officially at 4:30.
I'll take your word for it. I'm not sure.
We don't know. We're on the outside here. We probably should.
We just do what we're told. We go where we're supposed to go.
Yeah, we're kind of keeping this going, I guess, as long as we're trying to snatch people up and interview them. But if you happen to see this, even at a later time, we're going to be here all week. So
it's going to be so organized tomorrow. You have no idea. It's going to be perfection. I'm going to rappel in on some sort of cable. Like,
do it.
Like,
what's
Tom
stopping
Cruise, a fear of heights, mostly. And probably the Secret Service. But other than those two things, yeah.
Secret Service, they're not messing around.
Yeah, Mr. B tried to take a picture earlier and he got tackled. He almost became Mr. got beat up.
I mean, just even going to the bathroom, it's just, you got the dad jokes like I do. I love it. Yeah.
I like how you got 3 seats there, and listen, no. If I'm going to the bathroom and you follow me, I'm just not going to go in. There's always going to be my hand. You know what? Respect the buffer zone.
I thought Guy was coming back. Yeah.
I wonder if I should stay here to grab you. That was one of the C-SPAN ones.
Oh, no kidding.
Took out a couple.
Yeah, please do. Don't worry. Listen, if we see the people that we want to interview, we'll just
I recognized her, but I couldn't place it, and I even waved at her.
I need you to do better. What do you mean you didn't remember?
I couldn't place where I knew her from. And
Dean Phillips, I walked by, and Dean Phillips is being interviewed by Newsmax.
Yeah, we got
Newsmax.
We gotta ask him what's his deal, man.
I saw him too.
Malfunction. Newsmax. Newsmax.
I would love for you to interview Dean Phillips. Be like, we have Biden's strongest soldier, and we have Biden's most public critic, Dean Phillips.
Wow.
Not Mr. B, but Dean Phillips.
No, I wouldn't give him a hard time.
Hey.
I would just ask him, would you have done anything differently, now that this happened?
Yes. How long have you been a Republican?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Right. Are you ready to go to prison?
So if we lose this election, it's your fault.
Right.
I hope you're happy.
Right.
Are you going to sit down and watch the president's speech, like front row seats? That's too funny.
That's cool that he's back here, though.
Yeah.
We just have to try to grab people.
No, 100%. 100%.
I think we have something unique now. I don't think most people are live continuously. So if we can have this live, it's almost like we start spreading the word that, hey, you can come by anytime and pop in for an interview. I think it's working and spread a little.
What we will do tomorrow is we'll get on my restream, which will let us connect to your channel, my channel, your channel, every other channel.
We'll try to get more people watching.
Flex in the restream.
Yeah.
I just have stream here. No,
and maybe not, since he phrased it like that. StreamYard might just pull your account. Like, oh, to hell with you.
Well, we were concerned. Like, if I added my account now, I think it might shut it down.
Yeah, so we can only have one person on Twitch at a time, and I don't know about YouTube, but it doesn't matter because
I have a YouTube and a Twitch, but I don't have to stream to both. I can stream to either one.
Yeah, we're a well-oiled machine. Don't let it fool you.
Well.
Yeah, I mean, the program starts here now, so maybe we'll get some more people coming back here. I don't know.
It does seem more chill than it was.
Yeah, I thought it would be more chaotic as the program starts.
Do we get to like actually watch?
I don't
any
know
of it?
where, because you couldn't even get to the inside the little hallway.
That's true. After 2 p.m., they start enforcing that thing.
Yeah. So if you want to get on the floor and get some photos, you got to get in there.
Yeah.
There was nobody even checking my pass once I was there.
I think they recognize you. I think they're fans of the screen.
Probably.
Yeah,
No,
they're
you're
like,
probably
they're
right.
like, he's really important. They're like,
Yeah.
he's,
Yeah. You
yeah.
should just walk around saying that. I'm really important.
No, it's my handle. It's not me bragging. It's why did you choose I'm really important? I'm curious. What's the genesis?
So, just a quick story. I started in League of Legends. I was involved in the management of teams like that. I was trying. And it's just a funny name because I was like a manager of a team. And I was just like, I'm really important. And then I kept it for politics because it's just a fun name that makes people lower their guard. Because it makes them think, okay, this guy doesn't take himself so seriously.
Little do they know he means every damn word of it. That's the thing.
course.
I mean, Guy is like, he's trying to warn people in advance. Like, hey, you are in the presence
True.
of somebody really
Greatness.
important. Yeah.
Listen, if you're important, you gotta let people know.
100%.
You can't just let that go.
That's
away.
my problem. I just assume people know. I never tell anybody. And part of marketing is like self-selling. Part of the marketing is like actually going out and seeking business. And let me tell you, having walked around with IRI at the DNC, IRI is not shy. IRI is going to go up, and he walked right up to Manu Raju.
I could not resist. He was sitting there like a just a succulent apple, just waiting to be picked.
And he gave Manu Raju his autograph.
True.
He's like, here, Manu, I'll sign it right there.
Manu didn't even have to ask.
No,
I just could see it on his face. He wanted
He was
it.
100%, yeah. Please.
He was
He
nervous.
signed his lanyard, I think, right? Yeah, so he's walking around.
And he asked me for a picture.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Did you actually give him that?
The team with the worst record in League of Legends, Team Coast, Season 3. I had nothing to do with their losing record, though.
So full disclosure, I've not played a single game in my life of League of Legends.
Good for you. That's like saying I haven't taken like a shot of heroin. It's good, you know. That's something that you should be proud of. Because that is an addicting game that'll ruin your life.
No, and I've never played World of Warcraft either.
Wow.
Yeah. Not much of a gamer, but when I do, Witcher 3.
Oh, that game's got like real sex scenes and stuff, right?
No, it doesn't.
Is that why you play it?
So I've only watched the cutscenes. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't play any games at all.
Oh my God, you're covering politics 24/7.
Yeah.
I thought I had a work ethic. You're over here like streaming 17
try.
hours a day.
My new addiction is TikTok. You go on there at all?
That's how I got started. I was roommate on TikTok and then got to 28,000 followers.
Wow.
And couldn't break it. And here's
cool.
the thing. Here's the thing. The cool thing about TikTok is obviously, as a general principle, you're more likely to get more views. Like it's easier to get a greater number of views than YouTube or anything else.
Yeah.
The TikTok lives are where it's at. Like as much as you like being on.
I see Harry debating on there. Harry's system.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he. That's where I encountered Harry's system for the first time, like doing those TikTok lives. But what is that program that you do, like where you'll talk with the Trump supporters?
Oh, Omegle?
Omegle.
It's
Okay.
not around anymore, but yeah.
Oh, is it not? Okay. Well, you would love TikTok lives because you could just like pull people in, multiple people in, and it was so easy that even just as like a neophyte content creator,
Yeah.
like getting thousands of views, concurrence at the time because so many people are on TikTok, and people love to debate. Now it's easy to get those lives like shut down quick. If somebody reports them, it's done.
Yeah.
So they're very like report happy, but it's a lot of fun.
Maybe I'll go debate Trump supporters on TikTok. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I just kind of scroll though because I feel that's where all the new music is. That's where all the trends are.
I saw you doing the latest dance.
Yeah. No, I know about what is it? Very demure, very cutesy. Have you heard
Okay,
that?
no. So what's funny is I saw. I think it was a Kamala HQ. I saw something
Yes.
say very demure. Maybe it was
Biden.
President
It was
Biden.
the White
yeah,
House,
it was.
yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is it? Like what?
Yep.
I'm 33. Like I don't
So
know.
you got to know these things.
I don't. That's the thing.
And if
like,
you're not on TikTok, you don't see it.
No,
So you
I-
don't go on TikTok at all now?
buddy, no, I just don't have
Really?
time for it. I really don't.
You
like,
abandoned your TikTok
I
audience.
did. I did.
They're just sitting there.
I did. I don't run a media empire like you do, IRI. I don't have people Okay, it's all me, and that's deficient right out the gate.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah.
I like TikTok. The comments are hilarious too. Yeah, they crack me up.
Are you on TikTok?
Yeah, I did a live one time where all day it was a work with me, and I said, because I don't have many followers on there, and I was like, I'm gonna stay on here until I have at least 25,000 people following me, and
Wow.
it worked. But and it's weird because you get waves of people. You get like, for the most part, it was like 25 people watching. I don't know why they were watching. But then all of a sudden, like, there'd be 500 people. Like, what is going on?
You're Mr. Freaking Beat.
And then I was like, oh, I guess I better answer questions and actually be entertaining.
That's great.
Yeah. Sorry, we keep like people walk by and we're like,
Yeah.
it's like this whole place is like gawking.
We want to
Gawking
grab
central.
people if we can. I don't know if they'll jump on. We have this cool ring light now that makes us look more professional.
That's right. We should do duck face or something like that. Like that's what I feel like you got to do with the ring light. You don't do duck face?
Yeah, I used to, I guess. I did it in a video once, yes.
You did duck face in a video?
Yeah.
Tell the viewers what video that one is so they can look it up.
One of my first videos, I explained why people used to not smile in photographs. Like if you look at old photographs, they're not smiling. They're like, and the reason is, well, because they didn't smile in old paintings, and the reason for that was because they thought it made you look like a fool. Like culturally, he's like, so the fact that we're just like today is kind of weird. We live in a weird time.
How does it go? Oh.
Yeah. But then so I did the duck face as an example. Like, why do we do this? And I'm trying to, connect with those youth of America.
That's right. Connect with the youths. I understand. I mean, as we saw from my demographics, I struggle.
How's your demographics, by the way? Like, are they older, younger?
I don't look. I mean,
A view's a view, but it is interesting because he made me look and
it's a bit older audience than I do.
really, I know the Occupy Democrats audience is like really old. So I do jokes for the boomers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If we do a video about like Mick Jagger, they love it. Like, yeah, hell yeah, Mick Jagger called Trump pissant or something. But yeah, their audience is super old. I don't know what my demographics are. I don't know. I never looked. I assume they're all just beautiful women.
Explains why you're so successful.
Yeah, just you need not look at demographics. A view is a view. Why do you care? And you don't want it to influence your content, right?
I guess I would make jokes or references for different generations if I knew who was watching, one way or the other. That's about it, though.
That's why I stopped using words like fleek. I guess I realized my audience.
Fleek, I haven't heard YOLO in a while either.
What? Yellow?
YOLO.
YOLO.
You know YOLO.
You only live once.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I passed the Gen Z slang test.
Mrs. Beat said I should add Cory Booker to get him over here so I can interview him.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
There are some people that want you to be taking some questions from the chat, but it's chat. You don't have to listen to them.
No, I like to listen to the chat.
Please.
Only if they're from Twitch, not from YouTube. That's good.
Correct.
Go ahead, pick a question.
I'm waiting for a few to come in.
Okay.
They were more complaining than they were actually asking.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Remember, take a proactive approach.
Yeah. Chat, you're on notice. If you want questions asked, ask them.
There you go.
Walmart.
Yeah.
Odds the Dems keep the Senate.
Ooh.
Increasingly
What's the
likely.
percentage chance?
Really? Why?
Because they're winning. They're ahead in all the polls, except for Tester, I think.
Have we seen a change in polls in Ohio and Montana?
The last one I saw in Montana, I think I saw a poll that had Tester underwater. Sherrod Brown has led in all the polls that I've seen for Ohio. So I think you remember we have like 8 incumbent races that we have to defend since Joe Manchin is not seeking re-election. So Jim Justice, Republican, is going to take West Virginia. That's one less for us. So we have to defend all 8. I think I still wouldn't bet on us, but it's much more likely than it was that I think we'll get a 50-50 Senate with Vice President Tim Walz casting the tie-breaking vote.
What do you think about Florida with Rick Scott? Seems like he's having some problem.
underwater.
He had to put some money into his campaign recently. Think we could take that? You're in the South.
No, I'm too much of a cynic for that. I think I am surprised at how poorly he's doing. But I just believe that Republicans will come home at the end of the day for that particular race. But like, I think I would be surprised at this point if Sherrod Brown lost. I mean, again, I can't take it for granted, but he's an incumbent. He's polling well. There's a lot of attention from the Democrats on Ohio. Yeah, I would be if I woke up after Election Day and Sherrod Brown lost, I would be surprised. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not going to say necessarily 50-50, but I feel like we're getting there. I feel like we're getting to a place where I could say it's 50-50 that we keep the Senate. And I thought the odds were against
Coin
us.
flip.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mr. B?
Yeah, I mean, I still kept skeptical. I'd say it's like more like 35% chance the Democratic Party's able to barely get it, barely. The House looks pretty good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty confident. I'm more like 85% on that.
Wow.
Yeah. Remember, we need the trifecta. We need the trifecta.
Yeah, we have to win 5 seats to take back the House.
Yeah.
And there's only like 35 seats that were won by 5% or less. Not a lot of seats up for grabs. So if we do win, it's going to be a pretty small majority. And we don't have Pelosi, whipping our caucus into shape. So we'll see if, what's his name?
Hakeem Jeffries.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Hakeem, yes.
I can remember. I will see if he's got the juice. I think he's got it, but yeah, so we'll see.
The Speaker Emerita would not pick poorly. He's
True.
got the juice.
Yeah,
He's got it, yeah.
I believe in Hakeem the Dream, yeah. He's been awesome. Democrats basically been running the chamber from the minority anyways. All the must-pass legislation happened with more Democratic votes than Republican.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's
Like
crazy.
just
Continuing resolution, debt ceiling, more Democrats voted than Republicans.
Hey, on that front, did you see the news today that House Republicans finally published the Biden impeachment report?
No.
They've officially ended the inquiry.
What they now working on Kamala?
So, as you know, the only real consistent political initiative from House Republicans since they took the majority in January of last year, they've been attempting to impeach President Biden. Well, they finally, the House Oversight, House Ways and Means, and House Judiciary Committee released a PDF file, a concluding report from the inquiry, where they say that President Biden committed impeachable offenses.
So why don't they impeach him?
They do not make a formal recommendation for impeachment. Funny how that works, huh?
They don't need a single Democrat.
Yeah.
Not one.
Hey, if you got him, if you had him,
go for it.
Yeah, make the vote. Wasn't Jared Moskowitz said?
He said, let's
call the
vote
vote
right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I'll do
I'll
it.
call the vote.
Can I get a second
Yeah.
motion?
go
We
figure.
get a lot of questions about Kamala Harris's potential cabinet. Will she take some of Joe's? What would you like to see on it?
I imagine Pete Buttigieg will have a role to play.
Bigger one?
Bigger one, I think.
Then transportation secretary.
I think
That's a pretty good role
Secretary
for him. He's done.
I could see Secretary of State even with him.
You think so, huh?
Do they not like each other?
They
Maybe.
hate each other.
I don't know. I would be surprised, as vigorously as he has been as a surrogate, leading the trail. Obviously, quid pro quos are unethical and illegal, but I would be surprised if he was making that much of a presence and she didn't want to include him in an administration.
He was like in top 6 for her VP picks. We know that.
True. He was vetted.
He
yeah.
was vetted.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like somebody on the outs. But I just wonder if there's a position that's bigger. Like Secretary of State is a more high profile. You're kind of like, I don't know, you leave the country a lot, you're kind of focused on foreign affairs. I'm not sure that's a winning strategy. No, Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State.
Well, and you still think that Buttigieg is looking for the presidency and eventually? Yeah.
I think, he's on a short list. I hope he does. He's a fantastic.
So yeah, that could. It used to be that that was the way, like in the early. Sorry to keep bringing history up, but the early years
We're
of the
teaching
Republic.
Mr. B
I'm
about
learning
history.
things.
Yeah.
Like Henry Clay is like, oh, I'm Secretary of State. That means I'm going to be president next.
Right.
Uh-huh.
It used to be like that, yeah. What's the last Secretary of State to become president? Any idea?
No, put me on the spot.
I do know Secretary of State is the oldest cabinet position, and
It
that's
is.
why it's in the order of
It's
line of succession.
it's the first cabinet position
Yeah.
in the line of
Very
succession.
important.
So, yeah,
Very
so
storied position.
let's think about this. I said line of succession, line of succession. There is no line of succession.
Great show, by the way. Succession.
It is. What about Obama wasn't Secretary of State? George Bush wasn't Secretary of State. Bill
When
Clinton
was
wasn't
it?
Secretary of State. George H.W. Bush wasn't Secretary of State. Reagan wasn't Secretary of State. Holy shit!
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's not. It doesn't seem like a great path to be president. I mean, although Clinton got close.
Not in the last 200 years.
Well, that's it.
I think yeah.
Take my odds.
But
Also,
Jefferson was Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Secretary of Transportation probably not a very hot stepping stone to president.
That's
either.
not true. If you want to ride the train to success,
You can transportation.
yes, right.
Well, who do you guys think's going to get the axe for sure? If you had to say one.
Oh, please, Merrick Garland, please.
Oh, well, you and I butt heads on this.
Oh, please.
I'm a Merrick Garland stan.
I am not. I think he would have been a fine Supreme Court justice, but we need a Doug Jones as Attorney General. We need a Rottweiler. We needed somebody in there going, hey, we're not dragging our feet on this. If Trump is prosecutable, you make the damn case. We're not dragging this out. We asked one time for documents. After the second time...
Wait a second. Let me defend my boy Merrick for 1 second. Who signed off on the search warrant for Mar-a-Lago? It was none other than Merrick Garland.
agree.
That was ballsy.
I'm actually convinced that they tricked Merrick Garland. I think they finally said, sir, we need you to sign this check, please. So, yeah.
He's demented?
Yeah, no, and it was after a year of bending over backwards to give Trump every possible out. Meanwhile, here's the thing.
First time an ex-president's ever been raided by the FBI. You're gonna take your time with that one.
To me, there is a difference between being diligent and being lethargic. We do have credible reports from people in the DOJ.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like people are divided on this. There are many people who agree with you inside the DOJ, like, hey, Garland was just being diligent. Others say he was being overcautious because he was worried about the DOJ being seen as political. The DOJ is seen as political. That's the thing where I would love to ask Merrick Garland, like, hey, Merrick, all that effort, hoping that Republicans would see the DOJ as nonpartisan, what do the polls say now? And he'd be like, well, exactly where they were. Like, exactly. Move. And that's the problem. Merrick Garland doesn't do that. So I hope that Garland's out. I hope that she fires Garland.
Wow. Fired.
Yes.
I do see, like, just to broader here.
Yeah.
What percentage of Biden's staff did she keep around? Because I don't think it's going to be actually that much.
I heard like the top three are out, like NSA, Jake Sullivan, like he's Secretary of State. I heard is gone. That's it. I don't know. I think like the ones we know are probably gone because she's going to want.
You think Lloyd Austin's gone Secretary of Defense?
I actually heard that he would stay. I read he would stay. Yeah. Anthony Blinken, I think, is gone.
Yeah, I think he's out.
But he did a brilliant job in a lot of the difficult things.
I do think her vision for the country is similar to Biden's, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think it's clearly different, and I think her priorities are going to be different. She's already signaling that with her policy proposals. So that kind of tells me that maybe it's going to be. She's trying to distance herself. I mean,
I think she's also got to strike that balance because she doesn't want to be seen as merely the after effects of Biden. Like I feel like she'll probably say, "I'm going to pick some key holdovers, but I'm going to shutter the rest because I'm my own person." You know.
What?
I think the battery might have died. That's why you guys can keep talking.
thinking audio's good.
Oh.
Yeah, so
All right,
stand
guys,
by.
I know-
Camera needs battery.
I know you guys are in the dark and it's cold and you're confused.
I'm gonna pick my nose now.
Yeah.
Don't you dare hit that red X. They'll all be very steady.
Please like and subscribe. Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. The
Yeah, I know.
I think I should say any of these people are probably not come back. Yeah. Janet Yellen, I think she's out.
I just realized I'm not pointing the microphone at you guys.
Yeah, that does post
So I
problems.
got it.
It's okay. Do it. You do what you got to do. Don't worry about it.
All
Uh-oh,
right.
we've got our first troll.
Who?
Somebody is saying Trump 2024 in chat.
Well,
What do you
I'm,
have
Is it
to say to that?
Is it Mrs. B?
I'm officially triggered.
This is so devastating.
Yeah.
You can't carry on.
I'm officially triggered.
Yeah.
Very upset right now.
Trigger warning.
You racist, fascist scumbag. How dare you say that? That's how I feel.
Are you okay, buddy?
I'm mad. I'm mad as hell.
Yeah. I hope you're
I'm not
happy.
gonna take it anymore. But when he shouts out the window,
We're back.
or everybody's shouting out the window,
We're back. A dinosaur.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore.
Well, I remember when it came out, it was a big deal, that movie.
You weren't alive when it came out.
I was not, I don't think. It was in the 70s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was born at the end of the 70s. There.
We good?
No, cool.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, you too.
Oh, the viewers. Oh, okay. Yeah.
The heck with the viewers.
About how you would feel if Obama became Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
Oh my gosh.
I feel great about it because that meant John Roberts wasn't on the court.
Yeah, true.
I repeat the question. So
Yeah.
Yeah, the question was, how would we feel if Barack Obama was the Chief Justice on the Supreme Court?
And I said I'd feel phenomenal about it, if only because John Roberts would no longer be Chief Justice.
Well, he's got no experience on the bench. He's a lawyer. Was he a lawyer?
Yeah, he's a lawyer and a constitutional law professor.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So he's automatically better than Brett Kavanaugh.
Well, he's better
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
6 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Not wrong.
top of your head, name justices that used to be presidents.
Justices that are currently on the bench, like in history.
History.
Oh, well, William Howard Taft. That's the only one. The only Supreme Court justice that used to be president was William Howard Taft. No, yeah. Now there were others that ran for president, but yeah, William Howard Taft. He was president and hated the job, and was happy he lost. Kind of happy his old friend Teddy Roosevelt ran against him to split the ticket. Although that led to Woodrow Wilson getting in. I'm not a fan of Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah, I know. His voice drops an octave every time he mentions Wilson's name.
Yeah, no, sorry about that. He did some good things.
There's
but-
high schools named after
Yeah, I know.
Woodrow Wilson. Come on.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
But anyway, his true dream was always to be just a judge, and then the ultimate dream job was Chief Justice, and so in the 1920s he was the dude, and then he was the majority opinion, wrote the opinion for a case that said eugenics was okay at the state level.
Wow. That's,
Yeah, you can sterilize the kids, it's fine.
Nobody clipped that. So here's another trivia question. Name the one former president who then later served in the House of Representatives.
This is all just trivia to you?
That's right.
This is America. Oh, sorry,
I think
say it again.
there's only
Sorry.
one.
There is only one. What would say? He was a president of the United States who then, after he left office, went into the House of Representatives.
Oh, John Quincy Adams.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought that was not allowed. What is this?
It is.
It
Believe
is.
it or not.
Yeah, there's no constitutional provision against it.
And also, there's no constitutional provision for like anything for Supreme Court justice, which means my 10-year-old daughter, she could be a Supreme Court justice
Yep.
Yeah,
legally.
Kind of like Speaker.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, they have to be a member of the House, though.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
They don't to
Well,
be Speaker of the House.
Oh, that's right.
They all-
Because they were talking about
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
That's
being-
right.
that
That's
would be
right. They
great.
only
Right.
ever had been, as far as I know, but there's no rule requiring it.
Speaking of
I don't
Trump,
wanna
the
do that.
Trump supporter from earlier that ran in 2024, he wants Mr. Heath to know that he's a Trump supporter, but he's grateful you helped him pass history. So presumably he's 15, so he'll learn. And we
Well, thank you for.
Offense.
I hope my videos helped you. I don't care who you support. I just want you to get educated on this stuff.
I do care who you support, but I also like that you like Mr. Beat's videos. And hopefully you also share his appreciation for President Washington.
Yeah, that's usually one thing that seems to people from all ideologies or political persuasions respect good old George. So
The second best president named George. after Bush. No, I'm kidding. I'm just
three
kidding.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chad wants trivia about the President pro tempore.
Yeah. President of the Senate.
President of the Senate is the, they're like the leading member, the highest ranking member of the Senate. They've been around a long time. Currently it's Patrick Leahy. He's about to leave though, finally. They are, fourth in line in the line of secession?
Yeah, it's it's Vice President, Speaker of the House, so they'd be third.
Secretary.
No, I think the Senate pro tem comes from before all cabinet officials.
I should know this.
I think.
I always forget it. I always get it confused after Secretary or after Speaker of the House.
But what's interesting is that's also not in the Constitution because the Vice President is supposed to be President of the Senate.
Well, it was added later on,
right.
The 25th Amendment. Well, that's the crazy thing. When William Henry Harrison died, nobody knew what to do. Like, they had not planned that. Kind of like, like a lot of things are being planned as they're happening. Like, and then John Tyler, the vice president, this is 1840. He's just like, screw it. I'm just going to just take the job, swear me in. And he convinced everybody around him, all right, sure. And then that was nothing in the Constitution, but that was just the precedent set, and that's how it was. And then finally, jump ahead to the 1950s, and they're like, we probably better get this in the Constitution and square that away. Like, what happens if the president and also the vice president dies at the same time? I mean, there's that show where that
Designated Survivor.
Designated Survivor, right?
See? Yeah.
Good premise of a show. I know you know that show.
Yeah, designated survivor. It's a cabinet official that anytime there's like a government engagement, like a State of the Union, where you have all government officers present, there's one member of the cabinet in the presidential line of succession randomly selected by Secret Service to remain behind in a secure location just in case something disastrous were to happen at that event. Then they would become president of the United States.
So I'd like you guys to rank the presidents with the first name George.
So for Mr. B, it would go George W. Bush, George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, and then George Washington would be your least favorite.
No, the opposite. Yeah. My lead. So George Washington, George H.W. Bush, and George W. Bush. Yeah. Probably you too, I imagine. Bush Senior is probably better than Bush Junior.
Yes.
Honorary mention to George W.
Not president.
And not president.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it is interesting that that George H.W. Bush, I feel like, obviously only served for one term, so I feel like he gets glossed over, but I actually think I'd want to double check and see if I was going to commit to this position because I'm not a particularly big fan of Ronald Reagan, but I think I am prepared to die on the hill that President George H.W. Bush was a better president than President Reagan. Certainly not as influential, to be sure, but I think I'm prepared to die on that hill.
Economically, Bush Senior was superior, in my view, than Reagan. Remember, Reagan was supply side, trickle down, whatever you want to call it. And when Bush Senior ran against him in the primaries in 1980, he was like, they're not going to fall for your voodoo economics. He famously said the voodoo economics because they fundamentally.
You almost had like the intonation down for voodoo. Yeah, the Dana Carvey.
Used to play
Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
But so, in many ways, he was like kind of the ultimate centrist, but also very pragmatic. And so, like in my lifetime, I actually think Biden has done pretty well. Surprisingly, it surprised the heck out of me. But before Biden, I thought that he was the best president in my lifetime because I had issues with Obama. I think I mentioned earlier when I was talking to a guy about this, but the foreign policy differences is really what I was more passionate about. And I felt like he didn't fight hard enough for the working class.
Hey, Mr. B, what got you here? I am curious. Apropos of nothing, I don't want you to read too much into it, but I want you to answer honestly. If I say something is on the ballot, how would you define that? That idiom, what does that mean?
That means something that is usually not explicitly, literally on the ballot.
Yeah.
It's implied that you're actually voting for it. right?
That's how I look at it.
Okay.
So the reason so if I say democracy is, we hear this phrase a lot, democracy on the ballot, democracy's on the ballot. I've used that phrase. What does that phrase mean to you?
Well,
that's you could say abortion's on the ballot, whatever, but democracy's on the ballot.
It's a little redundant because, democracy is on the democracy.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, I know what you're saying. It basically means like, oh, we are in danger of giving up power to somebody who has authoritarian leanings, who isn't necessarily like explicitly like, I want to be a dictator, but would probably, like, a lot of people would be okay with him actually being a dictator.
You answered the question beautifully. The reason I bring it up is because there was for people who are watching, which Mr. B did a sit-down conversation a few months ago with Destiny on the Bridges podcast. Destiny was part of a debate, and I was part of a debate, and a couple of others about is democracy on the ballot. And some people, I think, in very bad faith, our interlocutors, our opponents, were like, they said they took the debate up because is democracy on the ballot means Donald Trump will end democracy, literally 100% will end democracy if he becomes president. But that's not our position. The position is exactly what you articulated, which is that he just poses a threat to it in our estimation because of his authoritarian impulses and designs. Not that he would, if he becomes president, it's guaranteed that he will end voting.
We don't know.
Yeah, right.
Like, it could be just fine. It could be like his first term. But I think there's that fear that this time around, his personal ambitions are far more important. He's running to stay out of prison. He's running to keep his money, and he's running to save him and his friends. A couple of his friends. Most of his friends he doesn't really care about. His friends. But it's like, when you're somebody who doesn't really stand for, like, you don't really have any core political beliefs. I don't think he has very many actual beliefs.
He's not an ideologue. He's a populist. He's an ideologically inconsistent populist.
I mean, I do think one of his core beliefs is, he truly does believe that, like, China is a threat economically, and we should do something to stop that. He does think that, like, the border needs to be secure. But other than that, it's all like vague crap that doesn't. And so because of that, I think if you look at who surrounds him, they could convince him to say, hey, you need to do this, and it's going to give you more power. You can get more done.
He's like, you had me at more power.
Well, yeah. I don't know. If enough people around him are telling him to do it, he will do it.
Yeah.
If you kiss his butt, he will listen to you. That's why I always say that's the fear. Where, I mean, if you had somebody who had convictions in there, they would be more hesitant to...
He has plenty of convictions, 34.
Oh, yeah. Hey! You are rolling with the jokes. Yeah.
That's a little hard for me to swallow. I mean, has Trump not done everything in his power to consolidate power, his own power, since the day he got in, subvert power away from people who tried to jack or oppose the ability to check or balancing, fired anybody who ever opposed him anyway, people that he spoke highly of and great at, and then tried to steal the election and took him away? I mean,
well,
I feel like
I think there's a key difference. Like, in case you didn't hear, like, you could definitely make the argument, in case you didn't hear, that Matt was saying here. He's clearly taken actions to increase his own power, to threaten the Constitution. He's actually explicitly said, I would get rid of parts of the Constitution. But I think to me, like, the bigger danger are the people that support him, that blindly support him, that he incites. Like, remember, he didn't have the courage to go down to the Capitol to do anything. He's chicken.
This is my friend Justin R. Young.
Hey, Justin. Josiah. Pondering Politics. Nice to meet you.
I think you guys should talk to him. He's a podcaster. He runs politics.
We've got this third start. This third seat.
We can just throw this part thing at you, this question that we're talking about.
What are you guys chatting about?
Just
Trump want to be a dictator.
Yeah. Just, Trump.
Easy question.
Not
Does he want to be a dictator?
Yeah.
Sorry to throw
well,
that at
no,
you.
I mean, I think, all right, so let's start at the baseline. How much does your average replacement level politician want to become a dictator? Like just in general.
It's probably
Like,
it's probably greater than zero. I suppose.
right.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna do value over replacement politician,
Right.
Like where does Trump sit on that line of like, would you accept ultimate power if it were
Right.
offered to you?
Yes, he would.
I think
I'll concede that point to what he was bringing up. Yeah, like I just don't. He's not. I would not call him like Machiavellian. Like he doesn't have this like doesn't have the ability. Like his strength is messaging, marketing, where it like actually like doing what needs to be done to get the power.
Yeah,
I
no,
just don't-
he's incompetent.
He's
There's no
incompetent.
question. Yeah.
I mean, it was very obvious that when everything was falling apart in 2020, that he was so behind the eight ball, he was listening to literal lunatics like Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood just because they were telling him things that he wanted to hear.
I should say before we go on, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi, I'm Justin Robert Young.
Sorry.
I do a politics podcast called Politics. It's very easy to remember. It's a terrible SEO decision that I'll never live down.
But is it about politics?
Indeed, it is.
It's a
yeah.
sports. It's
Thanks
a
for-
sports
yeah,
podcast.
No, it's mostly about Fabergé eggs.
Yeah, as one does. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. Everything is video and audio. So politics on YouTube.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm a national independent reporter. I've covered all the primary stops. Obviously it was a one-party primary this cycle, but back in 2020, pre-COVID, on the road for both of them, and then now we're here. This is kind of the end of the end of the tour, traveling wise, as this is the final big hurrah.
What do you think about this election cycle? I mean, obviously COVID.
Boring.
Yeah, I know. Like, honestly, like total snooze fest. We were thinking about taking a nap here to begin with. Yeah.
It was boring at the beginning. I will say that it was boring at the beginning. Where
I
Trump
was too
wouldn't even-
terrified. I'm sorry. I was too terrified to consider it boring. I don't know how you found it, but like you weren't suffused with existential dread, biting your fingernails
No,
about how
no.
dysfunctional everything was. Or...
No, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of a lunatic. So like when you're I come from a reporter perspective. Like
Sure.
the whole point is just to kind of like turn off the warning signals and just dive in and find the monkey and catch the vibes. And like the point of my channel is really to be more of a scoreboard than a pep rally. And so what I want to do is be able to tell people from my perspective as somebody who's covered politics for a while, like where are the decisions, the cognizant decisions that are being made by each campaign, and are they working or are they not working? And so initially, the story on the right was everybody was trying to figure out whether or not the Republican electorate was going to consider anybody other than Trump.
Right.
And the answer was no.
Right.
No matter what. It's like, oh, if we go Trumpier than Trump, no.
Yeah.
If we go Nikki Haley, moderate level, no. They just wanted Chungus. That was it. And they were accept no substitute. And then all of a sudden everything gets totally insane. We have the craziest month, I think, in American political history, July 2024. And we watch one candidate step down. We watch another candidate get shot in the ear. We, have a love fest of a RNC that might now be the last happy moment because Kamala comes in. This race is reset, and who knows where we go from here.
Let me ask you something, because if you come at this from a journalist perspective, I'm not a journalist, I'm a political commentator. So like on my channel, Pondering Politics, I make no bones about it. I am a partisan Democrat, and I come to that decision because I believe the Democratic Party is just the better governing party, right?
Sure.
It's not like a coin flip. I feel like I have my reasons for it. But if you come from the perspective of a journalist, more scoreboard than pep rally, let me ask you something. This is something I really struggle with. I believe that we exist in a political context in which that lends itself well to false equivalence, and I despise false equivalence.
Sure.
And I see that a lot, not in all corners of the media, but more than I'd like. Where I spoke to Don Lemon from CNN, and he was very candid. He said at CNN there was this subtext that basically if you criticize a Republican, you gotta balance it out somewhere with something from a Democrat.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, there's no reality in which there's no Democratic counterpart to Donald Trump or to Marjorie Taylor Greene. So my question is, as the scoreboard, how do you deal with that reality, knowing that there are some things where one side is just more egregious than the other?
So without getting like too far into the kind of journalism side of it, like I don't have a tremendously high opinion for television journalism in general. I come from a print journalism perspective. There is like a natural rivalry that is kind of born out of.
It's like a West Side Story thing, right?
It very much is.
I saw you when you saw a TV journalist earlier. You snapping your fingers.
I just go like, so I think that's born out of just the medium of scarcity in terms of airtime. And there was an era where television was more regulated on equal time. And so a lot of television traditions kind of come from that element. From my perspective, what I want to avoid, or the niche that I have carved out, because I don't think that there's a lot of people that spend time here, is not to explain whether or not people are even right or wrong. What I want to try to explain to people are arguments resonating and are they persuasive? Now, the world of politics, the deeper you go into it and the more time you spend with it, the more you realize that elections have been turned on things that are very resonant, that are not truthful at all.
Right.
They have turned on things that are very truthful. And people have lost on the right and wrong side of the argument in terms of history. What the modern, I would really say post-1960 playbook of presidential races are about persuasion. What arguments are you making? And I'm of the philosophy that the ones that work the most are the ones that America already has a passion for.
Sure.
Can you encapsulate that? So really, it's like I don't look at it as if like that there's an equivalency of one side or the other. I'm looking at it from a perspective of, are you making the arguments that are electrifying your constituency? Are you getting your core base out? Are you mitigating your losses with people that aren't going to vote for you? And are you attracting independents? Joe Biden was not doing that. Joe Biden is not, he's speaking on night one, not night four, right? And that's part of the reason why. Donald Trump was better at that, and since the Kamala switchover, he's been adrift in terms of doing it. That does not make me, at least from my perspective, endorse Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or Donald Trump. It is just trying to give a context to the listeners and viewers of why these things are happening. Because I think that there's an amazing class, especially if we're talking about the medium being the message, of people that are delving into these ideas like you do on your channel. Right. That's you know, we live in a great buffet for media, and you are the Kung Pao shrimp, and I am the egg rolls, and we can live in two little dishes, and everybody can get what they want.
Is it a challenge at this point, or do you have it down like basically trying to report on the intricacies of these things without creating a value judgment in your reporting? Because you're human.
Of course, and you know, you also want to. You want to do a little song, a little dance, a little seltzer in your pants, so it's not super dry, right? So you want to bring a little personality to it. I do worry, like I try to check myself when I find myself kind of being drawn to something. And this is very much a journalist instinct, is like I immediately want to read more about the thing that I don't agree with. I want to understand more about it. Because I don't want to find myself drifting, or if I do have a hunch, I want to research that more. I want to look back at historical comps, I want to look back at the numbers, and I want to see like, okay, well, if I think, you know, like right now, my take is I think this is going to be an extraordinarily close race, no matter what we are seeing. And the big question that I'm going to look at now is coming out of this convention, did Kamala get her convention bump polling-wise early? Did she essentially kind of payday loan the convention bump? Or is she going to add even on top of that? At which point you'd probably put her around where Biden was in 2020. Right. So it's like, if she doesn't, then you can make an argument that this is still going to be really close, and there's work to be done. That Kamala's still going to have to make an argument to the American public. If she gets the bounce, then maybe we're in a different situation. But that's like my perspective, and which means I now need to be here thinking about, no, it's probably going to be super exciting, and everyone's going to be there, and maybe this is the rocket ship that never ends for Kamala, because my instinct is that it might not. So yeah, I do always try to do that, but I think that's content too. You want to put that out to the people, and I'm not coming down from the mountain with pure truth, just like anybody else, trying to put a bunch of disparate pieces together and find out what's going to happen next.
What's the best data to look at other than polling, or perhaps polling is still the best measure we can have, like to have your finger truly on the pulse?
Is it politics? Is that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, like and subscribe,
Please, yeah.
Yeah, everything's imperfect, right? I'm a very big fundamentals guy, which means that I'm totally lost in the woods now, because in general, I am of the belief that the sitting president wins re-election when they run for re-election.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen, right? So it's like
throw that conventional
so chuck that out the window. I would say polling is very informative in the aggregate. And I think it's very informative when you are looking at like big, broad trends. It is there to drive you insane if you focus on every little flicker and data point. And I think there is an entire class of very unwell humans online who do nothing but that exactly.
You got another poll results?
Exactly. Like,
so that sweet poll, man.
Mom, here's what's more. Like, So, and I'm one of them, by the way. I'm not casting shade. I am also deeply unwell when it comes to following.
He was speaking from experience.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah.
I know it.
This is testimony. This is confession.
Exactly.
Right here, yeah.
I'm not just a client. I'm also the founder.
Right.
Yeah. So I would say that. And also specifically with polling, more boring things than the actual like kind of horse race stats, but like right track, wrong track. If you're going to worry about any Democratic campaign now, it's that we have a Democratic administration, and 60 to 70% of Americans say that the country's on the wrong track, right? So that suggests that there is kind of unease for which now Kamala, if she can make an argument of like, no, things are going to be different now,
right?
Which is going to be this delicate dance here of like honoring Joe Biden, but also turning the page,
right?
Like doing it. It's going to be hard,
That's why they put him on opposite ends of the week, right? He's day one.
He's day one.
He's day 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want him day 3?
But isn't the root of this though always economics? I mean,
there is that.
Yeah, because like I actually before the 2020 and 2016 elections, me and my students were able to predict who was going to win purely on economic data.
Yeah.
And so like, how much do you think that actually is really what it is, right? And when they say right direction or wrong direction, they're really just talking about, oh crap, groceries are still too high and rent's too high and all this.
That's all right. So that's like, right track, wrong track is kind of the big Russian nesting doll, right? You take that out and then you find out, okay, well, why do people think it's on the wrong track? Right now, the number one thing is the economy, and what we've seen,
it's all
forever. Yes, you're right, forever. In current polling, as historical polling, it's always the famous, it's the economy stupid.
Yes,
James Garville,
see here?
Now, what we found out in the last couple years is, and this is something that had kind of been forgotten, a forgotten lesson of the 70s and 80s, is that our perspective had been unemployment is the driving stat.
Yeah.
And because we'd had an era of very stable inflation, I think people forgot that no, inflation is a killer. Inflation pisses people off oftentimes 3 times a week, depending on how often
we forgot
you go
because
shopping.
it was since the early 1980s that it was more than 2 or 3%. So yeah, like I think especially, I mean, my parents told me what it was like living through stagflation in the 70s, and like that destroyed presidencies. Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter. I mean, Ronald Reagan. A big reason why he won so overwhelmingly in 1984 was
He benefited
finally
from the downslope.
got the, yes. Really, it was Volcker, chairman of the Federal Reserve, that was the genius behind that. But yeah,
But he also he stuck Carter with the bill.
Yeah, exactly.
He made the moves when Carter was
and that's
there.
what's frustrating about economic indicators is often they're lagging, and so what's happening right now, we won't see the effects for sometimes 1, 2, 3 years at least. Like inflation. Like you could say that much of what was happening during the pandemic caused the inflation that we saw 2 years later, 2022. So it's frustrating that we were talking about this earlier, like how much presidents get blamed for the economy, whether it's real or not. It's usually not, but it's perception that matters.
I always look at it as kind of in like a role-playing game perspective. It's just a persistent drag or benefit. It's like if the economy's good, you are just going to get a +2 on your stat sheet. If it is bad, you just get a -2. Like, and that's just the reality.
So what's interesting is, and this is again, I come to it from the more pep rally perspective.
Yeah.
But like Nobel Prize winning economist Paul Krugman, he's talked about this at length, where I think you make a very salient point about inflation or just like increased prices, period, because inflation's down, but prices are still high, right? But Paul Krugman's done research on this, and it's been corroborated in multiple studies. There is a partisanship skew when it comes to the economy. So, God forbid Donald Trump wins the election. What we will see if trends hold is that as soon as Donald Trump inherits President Biden's economy, if that's what happens, within weeks, Republicans will have a different view of the economy. Because Donald Trump is president, even if the trends continue.
Yeah.
We saw it when Trump inherited President Obama's economy, right? During the first 3 years of the Trump administration, the economy was pretty good, but if you follow the lines, it was because of those economic trends that he'd inherited from the prior administration. But perceptions change. Democrats do it too, but the research shows not as severely. And so I also think that that's a problem too. It's not just the inflation. There is politics has infused even our perception of the economy. If the other guy is in charge, we are just inclined to look at the economy more negatively. And we're all guilty of it to one extent. So that's, I guess, my question, going back to the journalistic perspective.
Yeah.
Is there anything, because President Biden has gone viral in a couple of moments, like in the past couple of weeks, when somebody asked him, like, hey, inflation's down so-and-so, what do you think? And Biden got pretty terse. He's like, yep, my plan's working. You all said it wouldn't. It is.
You should have written it that way. That was his quote. Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Real talk, because some people would say that there is a bias in the media towards sensationalism and emphasizing the negativity, as opposed to, yes, unemployment is historically low, and we did have a pandemic recovery greater than any in the world. Do you think there's any merit to that, or no, not really?
Well, I mean, it's always hard, especially now in our very fractured world of media, to say that like journalism be doing this or that, right? Because
it's always hindsight too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and also it's like, from my perspective as somebody who went to school for journalism, there are rules for which you should adhere to in terms of how you write things, and we have seen a blending of advocacy and perspective in media forever. Right. But now we're in a very weird phase of it where, like, the brands that theoretically had driven how journalism is supposed to be done are now shrinking. You have independent media that is growing. Right. And so nobody really knows what the right way to do it is. I tend to subscribe to I'm going to try to show my work. I'm going to try to explain where I'm coming from, but I'm still an advocate, right? I'm an advocate for my own position, and I'm not doing, like a ton of on the ground reporting aside from going to the various places, seeing it myself.
Thanks for watching.
But I would say that, like, when it comes to the economy specifically, I am very much of the mindset that you should be reporting that stuff as straight ahead as you possibly can. Like, these are numbers. The numbers should add up. You should be able to explain it. Yeah. Now,
politics.
Now, where I will say is, if you have seen that deviation between Democrats and Republicans, it means that Democrats have been faulty in their ability to make the economy personal in a way that the Republicans have been successful in doing it. And that's where you've seen this week there's a reason why the first thing that Kamala rolled out in terms of policy was on the economy.
Yeah.
Because she knows that it's the number one issue, and right now she's behind by about 10 points on aggregate in terms of that issue.
Oh, it's that close.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at one point it was like a 30-point gap between Trump and Biden. So
So it's like, so she's getting a little bit of a benefit of the doubt that things might be different.
Yeah.
She did not do what Biden was doing, which was the very defensive, you're holding it wrong, the economy's actually awesome.
She didn't have that curmudgeonly approach. Yeah.
It's been a lot better.
Exactly. And so now she is going with the like, all right, this is corporate greed, and that is what's making inflation persistent. We're going to put forth this solution to it. Will that hold? Will it work? We will see. But I think that it is not a coincidence that she is trying to make this personal, the number one issue, as you pointed out, personal for everybody.
Yeah, housing is. I just talking to people so far here, I've noticed that housing is front of mind, like surprisingly more than any other issue. I thought maybe somebody would have brought up healthcare or something else. But
what's up, Al? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's she's definitely more in touch, I think, with the messaging. Sure.
Yeah.
Who are you?
I'm a big fan. This is my friend Justin R. Young. Just saw him walking around. I was like, he's got to meet these two guys. I knew you guys would all hit it off. And it sounds like a great conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that you guys all got to get together here. But yeah, I've known Jury for a couple of years now.
I know, yeah,
5 years
from
or
the
so.
from the Twitch, the wiles of Twitch streaming.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's awesome. I just love seeing all the different voices and perspectives, especially getting an opportunity to be at events like this because they are historically important. They do matter, and it's, you know, if the Post gets 80 credentials, then, you know, there should be people who actually like put their own hard time, money, and effort into like independent content that also gets to be on the ground here.
Yeah, the DNC made a big deal about giving content creators credentials this year.
Yeah.
Sounds like a very new thing. Like there's even a little section somewhere on the floor for content creators to go. You have to have a specific badge, and it's like a bunch of TikTokers and stuff.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting how they're reaching out to these alternative media.
Well, there's a huge question, and I think that this election specifically might be decided on the idea that less and less people are watching television.
Right.
And even online, traditional online ads like Google ads are showing less and less effectiveness in terms of driving persuasion. There's a large, in fact, it might be the conversation that happens after this election is over about finding the voters that are persuadable, that don't watch television.
Persuadable is the key word.
Persuadable. And it's like, but what are they doing?
Right.
In a lot of cases, they're watching podcasts.
Okay.
They're watching Twitch streams.
Interesting.
They are watching, TikToks.
Yeah.
This is like, it's hard. More and more of these people are tuning out of media that they would have otherwise historically paid attention to. So now there's more money than ever going into television. There's more money than ever that is going into Google ads. And maybe the election will be decided on who goes on the most podcasts by the end of it. We have no idea.
Yeah, that's true.
I do know it's a huge part of the Trump strategy, is that they're trying
with a lot of streamers.
they are trying to turn out specifically young men, and they believe that they don't watch television, they watch streaming things and podcasts and live streams, and that's it.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. You brought up persuadable is so huge.
Yeah.
Like, because I watch CNN and I watch MSNBC, and the commercials are all for older demographic, like retro bath fitters, you know, get into your bathtub,
Pain cream and gold bars.
Right, and so there are no young people watching legacy media. I mean, I can't imagine that there's any 20-year-olds out there that are watching.
I predict in 10 years we'll be upstairs, looking down on.
You think so? Podcasters and the streamers and YouTube creators.
I was telling.
I mean, I think you guys could do it. Next time I'll tell you who to apply to. But yeah,
the thing is,
you
like,
guys could have done it
access
this
has been
time.
a little bit difficult. We've noticed, like, well, who are you? Like, you know, oh, you got a YouTube channel. That's cute. We're like, dude, I'm walking around and I'm getting more people recognize me than
Yeah.
Those people up there working for Fox News, like, I mean, what does that tell you? There's still a ways to go. And I'm just a Z-list celebrity. Like, imagine if there was actually, like, Hassan Piker was in here. He would be able to, yeah, he would be getting like
mobbed.
Bernie Sanders come right over to him talk. Speaking of Bernie Sanders, he was on this Theo Vaughn, you know, the comedian. Did you
Great
see
interview.
On it?
Great
yes.
interview.
I think that was actually a really important interview because he was reaching an entirely new audience in many ways. People that are typically not engaged with politics. So stuff like that.
I thought he was extraordinarily candid on something that I very much believed in, which was how everything ended in 2020.
Yeah.
And I had not heard him myself be that candid about it.
Said the quiet part out loud.
And I thought that was, again, it's like, you know, historically, it is not uncommon that almost every outsider candidate, whether they win or lose, eventually faces a stop outsider movement. And the question is always...
Or co-option.
Yeah.
We're going to co-opt you now. Go, bye-bye.
Yeah, it's like Barry Goldwater faced it, Bernie Sanders faced it, Donald Trump faced it, William Jennings Bryan, and sometimes it works. Oftentimes it doesn't because you are relying on a lot of egos to get in a room and decide who's going to drop out and when and who's going to be the person that walks forward. But it worked with Bernie, and I don't think that it's negative to say that. Like it is just because it is a historical fact, and I was just glad that he didn't tap dance around it. Like I think
he's come to terms with it. He understands.
He's done in the past where he's like, well, Joe's a great guy, and blah 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 blah.
Tell how it is.
Ready for re-election too.
I mean, in 2020, Biden was the safer pick than although, like, I always bring up those more than 1 million people, voters, who voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary, then turn around and vote for Donald Trump in the general in 2016. It's a fascinating group to look at.
And that's the question: is like, are those voters watching
Theo
the
Vaughn.
Aiden Ross thing?
Oh
or
yeah,
Theo Vaughn,
that's,
right?
That's a very
It's like,
coveted group to their targeting.
This is my other thing. I don't think it's happening or just happened this weekend. I do think that the connection of the horseshoe theory of our politics is the gathering of the juggalos. Like,
the juggalos.
The gathering of the juggalos, largely Midwestern, blue collar. If you look at the swingiest voters that we have seen, the Bernie Trump voters, they're all at the gathering. Whoop whoop.
I saw an article that said the Democrats have a problem with reaching young men. What is appealing in the Democratic Party for young men? You know, like obviously the issues like gun violence and climate change, but there's something just raw about Trump that young men like, and I don't know how we tap into that.
You know, gender polarization is a huge thing that we have seen over the last cycle. Now, my friend Bill Scher, who writes for Washington Monthly, he has made the argument that Kamala coming in has actually shrunk that, and that she has done better with men than Biden did.
Interesting.
But as much as I love Bill, I don't know if that's going to hold up. In fact, a lot of the questions that we're gonna have answers for in the next 3 weeks are like, where in the insanity of the last month and a half are we going to return to some kind of a baseline that we saw before, or is this the new normal? And we don't know the answer to that right now.
It's a wild time. Yeah, there's so much going on.
I say, are you familiar with the different party systems in history, political?
I know them by name, but I don't know.
Yeah, like a lot of people say that the six-party system, which started with the rise of Ronald Reagan and that, like Reaganomics and all that, has really been going on for like most of our lives. Like, and now we are entering a seventh-party system, seeing the dramatic changes, especially in the Republican Party, but also the Democratic Party has. I don't think a lot of Democrats even have realized it because it's happening. It's kind of subtle how it's happened, but that influence of folks like Bernie Sanders and AOC, I think, is actually.
I think that this is a more progressive party. Than
and you mentioned the horseshoe thing. I think a lot of these folks are just not paying that close of attention.
No.
You know. Yeah, a lot of vibes, and so like it's.
Well, populism is on the rise.
It's that's what I'm talking about. It's a similar, and usually when that happens, you have a pretty big disruption. And if the two major parties want to stay, the two major parties, they have to adapt. And I see them doing that. Like how quickly Kamala Harris changed her messaging to become more populist. Just her simply choosing Tim Walz, a more populist adjacent governor. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the Democratic populism is on the progressive side. Like that is where that energy
It's
is.
the rhetoric. On the Republican Party, it's mostly just rhetoric. Like,
yeah, I
it's
mean,
not policy.
It's you know,
Because if you look at what J.D. Vance has said, he's some of what he says is straight up populism. Rhetoric. Yeah.
I mean, he's right now, and I don't think you're going to hear it a lot in this arena, but the only of the four people, the only person who is as an unabashed fan of Lena Khan breaking up, monopolistic companies, is J.D. Vance. Like we're in a weird reconstruction of what party messaging is.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at the RNC in Milwaukee a couple weeks ago, and you know the night one comparables from what we're going to see here tonight was the head of the Teamsters and Amber Rose.
Yeah, I read that Monday was like death row, like just the worst people they could bring in. It was all the we weren't excited about. Not here, but at the RNC.
Oh no, it was. I mean, Amber Rose, for somebody with a face tattoo and an OnlyFans, went over swimmingly with the Texas delegation that I was sitting amongst.
Oh really?
Watching her.
Could you imagine Bob Dole like in 1996 bringing down Amber Rose at the convention?
I don't know. He might be like the end of that Pepsi ad, like down boy.
He was a pretty hip guy. He was from Kansas.
Amber Rose.
Kansas guys pretty hip.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Republican convention was one in which they very much were embracing. We are trying to rebuild our coalition. Our coalition is not what it was.
Branching out,
and so we're gonna have a Teamster up on stage talking about corporate greed. When Ronald Reagan rolling in his grave, right?
That was interesting.
You know, you're gonna have Amber Rose, a young mixed-race woman with a face tattoo. Not exactly what you would see in a Pat Buchanan-esque version of the Republican Party. It's interesting that the Democrats are leaning more on stability. You know, you look at the top line speakers here, two-term presidents, a Hillary Clinton. These are both Obamas, right? Like, we're going to see a lot of remember the good times.
Patriotism.
We are, of course, it's always going to be, and they have steered a lot more into patriotism.
Yeah, those USA chants. I don't remember that from at least not regularly happening. The last two presidential campaigns for the Democratic candidates.
It's fascinating, and I think Kamala still remains very smooth. She kind of is sort of everything to everyone right now. She's like just an orb that has emerged from the Democratic sea. She will be more defined as we go forward. You can't remain that smooth for the entirety. I don't think. You never know.
So far, so good. She hasn't misstepped yet. The Gaza protester thing, maybe, that little one.
Yeah, less than expected.
Right. She got through the walls, the VP pick, no problem. Sounds like she got through this. We'll see what comes after this, though.
I mean...
See if there's a ceasefire. If there actually is a ceasefire.
Biden's looking for it,
before he...
Yeah, I mean, look, this gets out of the realm of me having any expertise, but...
We're just going to talk out of our butts now.
Exactly, right? Just Ace Ventura. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah, anything can happen. Who knows? There could be a scandal. I mean, Tim Walz could shake his wife's hand again or something on that level. The attacks have been so flat too from the Republicans. It's shocking. Trump cannot adjust at all.
Yeah, because at this point, there's how much lower can you go? Like other than convicted felon?
He is floundering.
He's he's had a bad few weeks. There's no doubt about it. To be my kind of out of left field take is that I think if it were not for J.D. Vance, they would actually be in worse shape. That J.D. Vance pushing the military service stuff was the only time that they've made the Kamala campaign adjust. That they had to react and respond to it.
Sure.
And that came from J.D. Vance. That didn't come from Trump. So, you know, I think right now you have everybody from like Vivek Ramaswamy to Lindsey Graham on television saying, please talk about the economy.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about the economy every day instead of insulting Republicans and doing other things that aren't helpful?
Size.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no doubt that his ability to remain kind of in the pocket has gone away, and the aura of Trump, the well-managed operator from earlier in this campaign, is not there.
He's
And
also
I
the
don't
oldest
think-
major party candidate in American history.
How funny is that, too?
Yeah.
That it's like,
Crazy.
this is like, the Democrats were so tired of getting beat with that stick that as
Right.
soon as they got the opportunity to use it, they were like, this is fun! This is
Yeah.
great,
Uno reverse.
You old bag!
Right back at you.
Exactly.
Yeah. This has been a lot of fun with the Democratic Party right now. It was all doom and gloom for so
It
long.
was.
Now they're having so much fun. They deserve it.
I know.
I wonder how the vibes would be different here if Biden was still the nominee. Like people was kind of walking around like.
Yeah, I think
But you're a big fan though. Yeah,
I was a big fan. I never gave up on the old
Yeah,
man.
You never gave up on Joe?
Never. I thought he had a bad debate performance. He had
You and
cold.
AOC.
I bought it all. Yeah. Yeah. Why? That's my argument. Every time someone says, "Oh, you're crazy," I'm like, I guess Bernie Sanders and AOC are crazy
Yeah.
because they got right behind him.
Yeah.
You know, and like they're pretty smart people. They know politics pretty damn well.
Yeah, and you know, they had coalitional support. It was the same reason why Marjorie Taylor Greene stuck up for Kevin McCarthy. It's like once you make the deals, you don't want to reshuffle the deck because now you got to make new deals.
And it was opportunity because everyone was banning him. And what's the worst that happens? He bails and Kamala rewards you for being loyal because it was always going to be Kamala if not him. I didn't buy the open primary thing like that.
I didn't buy that he was stepping down.
Yeah. I didn't see it coming too. I thought
You saw it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it'd make it up to the RNC, like I mentioned. He's good, and he got there, but then it kept going.
Yeah, at the RNC, there were talking to people that know things. They were
Oh,
yeah, there we go. There he is.
join us.
Yeah, they were saying
Hey, just
that
say it.
things had been heard.
Oh, come on,
and
get
then
him
the
over
Mark Halperin report came out.
Get him over here.
And that was its own thing. So
Yeah. Well, fair enough, yeah. Something was going on, that's for sure.
Yes, no, that was.
Yeah, I had like insider information from DC, like, hey, you might want to pay attention this weekend. But that was about it. Yeah, that was exciting. Just people find out about meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, they certainly had their ducks in a row as soon as it happened.
Yeah.
There was 30 minutes between Biden posting that letter on Twitter and him endorsing Kamala, and I'm dying to ask somebody who knows why. Why did it take 30 minutes? What was going on there?
These are great questions. Great questions that I think have very interesting answers.
Because there's no way he made up his mind in 30
Senator
minutes.
Kelly.
Oh, nice.
Come on, talk to us. Get him to talk to us.
He looks like he's on a mission. Nice.
Yeah.
Just Hassan Piker and Mark Kelly just walked right by us. They didn't stop here.
He is short. I'd not gotten a sense of how short he was.
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping she picked him, honestly. I like Josh Shapiro a lot, but I was rooting for Mark Kelly. He's
I
just
thought
got
it was
such a
going to be
great story.
Shapiro.
They were all
They're all
pretty
amazing.
solid, yeah.
And this is probably not. I don't want to come into a party and suggest that maybe they should have gone with chocolate cake instead of cheesecake. But
Great choices.
I do wonder if anything would have been different if they picked Shapiro, but they would be up by 10 in Pennsylvania.
Well, it wasn't a sure
I wonder.
thing. Yeah.
I wonder. But you never know,
Yeah,
because you can't prove a counterfactual.
She's still up in Pennsylvania, though, right? In that Washington Post poll that came out.
Yeah, on aggregate, it's essentially tied. RCP has Trump up by like 0.1, and I think the other aggregators have it slightly flipped, but it's all within margin of error. Yeah.
I would be surprised if she loses Pennsylvania, just because we had a bit of a blue wave in 2022. We picked up a seat in the Senate. I mean, that was pretty weird, you know. And that was with John Fetterman and his really bad, talk about a bad debate performance. That was next level, man.
You know, I was in Pennsylvania covering that primary, and I went out to, I forget where, in outside of Scranton to cover a Fetterman event, and he no-showed. They said it was a cold. I found out in the airport going back that he had the stroke.
Oh, wow.
Jeez. And I thought he was toast. He's proven to be a very capable politician.
Yeah.
And you know, this is again with the happy joy of the Democratic Party right now. He's not here.
Right, he turned it down. Yeah.
There are a few senators that are not here. Jackie Rosen's not here.
I saw that.
John Tester's not here. Sherrod Brown's not here.
Yeah.
So
swing state. Senator.
yeah, I mean, and that's so. Look, this is a very weird election. It's very weird.
And I'm here, and I'm not even a Democrat. So yeah, like.
Well, Biden said to Kamala, "I'll run for or against you, whatever helps you win." You know.
I know, right?
And
that's that was his thing. So yeah. Well, boys, thank you so much for
I
having
feel
me
like
on.
we stole you for too long.
Oh no,
I appreciate it. It was really
absolutely.
fun talking to you.
It was
Politics.
That's
the
me,
channel.
Justin R. Young. Everywhere that you that you follow people, but great chat. Yeah.
And I do a political history channel, by the way, Mr. B.
No, I'm familiar with your work.
Oh,
It was
nice.
An honor to talk to you.
Oh, likewise.
I have to reach out and have you on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll collaborate.
Absolutely.
It's on tape, so it has to happen, right? How much longer are we going? I have another delegate that wants to meet up. I have another delegate that might want to meet up here, so. Okay. Well, hello there. This is the Truman Show. No, that's my favorite movie of all time, by the way. But yeah, we in case you're just now joining us, I should probably let you know we are live at the DNC. We've been doing this all afternoon. It's the official events have already started. We're out here with the media. And tonight the big speakers are the Bidens and I also believe Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is speaking. So I might go try to catch some of that as well. But we've been chatting to anybody we could about basically both politicians and other creators here. So make sure you support Pondering Politics, and I'm Really Important. That's the name of his channel on Twitch. A guy here. I always say weird. I feel weird saying your name. That's why they say IPI, huh?
IRI.
IPI. I'm thinking IPA is on my mind. IRI.
I'm pretty important. Maybe.
Did I butcher it? Oh.
Oh no, you're good.
I'm pretty important. That's why I said IRA. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm tired.
IRI.
Mrs. B just texted us. Are you gonna get off here? You look tired.
Should we keep going, or what do you think? Oh, you got some delegates coming by.
Well, I might have to meet them out there. So, or one person.
Well.
Oh, maybe not.
I just think the program's going to start, so it may die down. Yeah. We're chilling.
Sorry, I just.
No, that was cool. That was cool. Senator Kelly walking by, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, and Hassan too. Wait, do you not get along with him?
I'm not a huge fan. I understand what he's doing, and it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, he's pretty.
He's got some different opinions.
Confrontational, right?
Yeah. He's got this whole shtick of like capitalism sucks, but like I can't hear him because his actions are screaming so loud with like
in his mansion.
Yeah, the money, the cars. Yeah. Okay.
Oh well, yeah, he's back. Mrs. B texted me. She said, "You look tired. I can't believe you're still doing this." So.
I'm pretty tired, but I'm on motion sickness medicine, so like makes you. One of the side effects is sleepiness.
Is that what they call vodka these days?
Yeah. Sure.
She said this is boring. Well,
wow.
Damn. I got roasted by the missus. Yeah.
She knows what to say to get you going. Yes.
Listen, tomorrow, if you think today is boring, tomorrow's going to be so much more dynamic. You have no idea what we have in store.
yeah, just wait.
Just you wait.
It'll be the greatest live stream you've ever seen in the history of live streams.
Benny Thompson, by the way, was Chairman Thompson was
Where?
back there.
Is he at Roland's table?
Say what?
Is he at that guy Roland Martin's
He was near Roland Martin. I don't
Get
think.
to say hi to him?
No, because he was like surrounded. Like I just happened to see like in between gaps and heads.
Well, I love Pod Save America.
Thank you.
Huge fan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good eye. Why am I like?
Yeah,
you had,
the
like, vantage
Kirk and
point.
Media folks are around the corner there.
Who's that?
I ran to one of them in the restroom. I didn't talk to him.
Who is he? Sorry.
Mrs. B would be proud of me because I've talked to celebrities in the bathroom before and it didn't go very well.
What the hell's that mean?
Yeah, hey, I'm gonna meet this person. You can.
Yeah. Hi there. Yeah.
I guess we have somebody who's running for Congress who wants to come by. So we'll see.
They're coming to this show?
Yeah,
They want to lose?
This guy.
I'm kidding.
Oh. Shriek.
Oh, man.
Benny Thompson, that's cool.
Yeah.
We saw Mark Kelly. Did you see
I
him?
did. Senator
Yeah,
Kelly, yep.
Yeah, that was dope.
All the people that are behind this camera, you have no freaking clue. All the people that we can't talk to. No, I'm it's crazy. I'm still trying to get my bearings.
Yeah, I think tomorrow will be much easier.
Yeah. We were rushed. Like I said, shout out to Matt, to Scream, and some of the others, because like the logistics challenges they had to manage today, crazy. They're going to be here at 5 a.m. tomorrow to set everything up.
Yeah.
It's going to be perfect. We're going to get prime real estate. Yeah. Actually, this isn't a bad idea being near the back because eventually somebody's going to have to go.
Yeah, it's not actually a bad spot.
We should actually camp up right there. How bad do you want to go to the bathroom? You want to sit down for a conversation? Yeah.
It's not a bad
piss your
spot.
pants.
I thought at first it'd be terrible because it's like being near the bathroom at a restaurant, But yeah, we have the bathroom about, 30 feet away, 25 feet away.
Yeah. He thinks it's bad, really. Would you say it's like being near a bathroom at a restaurant?
Yeah, like you don't want the table near the bathroom,
I specifically requested.
Or why?
I mean, my God, if you're getting refills or whatever and you have to take a leak, there you go. You're right there.
Fair enough. Makes sense. Small bladder.
That's right. I mean, listen. I don't know. You're the first person I know who says he doesn't want to be near the bathroom.
We kind of sat near the bathroom, Supreme on the flight here. It was like 3 rows up, and it was like a line of people just standing there. Like,
was your flight turbulent?
A little bit on the way in. Nothing crazy.
Mine was like.
Pray to God, this might be the end.
That or I'm just a total wimp. I mean, like, yeah, there was more turbulence in that flight than I had in a long time.
Wow.
Did you see Joe from Jers?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
The
She's
Twitter girl.
up there. Yeah, she's up there. Gotta say hi to her.
She has a booth?
She was on Sirius XM. I think she's like rotating in and out. You should definitely.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she is ferocious.
I think she's like 1 million, just hit 1 million or something on Twitter. I saw somebody.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah. No, this is a who's who.
That's what I'm saying. We're gonna be more in network mode tomorrow. We're gonna be hey, listen.
We push people over here. Oh, Charlie. Yeah. He's on a mission.
So Charlie Kirk just passed us.
We tried to get him.
Yeah.
Next time. We got a head move.
Yeah. Which is something.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We made contact. What if we got him on here? I would keep it chill.
I would, yeah, totally.
Just kind of be like, why are you here? You know, what do you think the Republicans are offering?
Yeah.
How do you beat Kamala?
Dude, I love the quote from like some people who are like seeing these polls and they're like, no way, Trump's gonna win the landslide. I'm just be like, you know what? That's cool. Just continue to believe that. Yeah.
Now the polls are wrong. But
Right.
they were right before.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I say this as a cynic who I'm always afraid we're going to lose. You know this because we had you, Destiny, and I had that stream right before the 2022 midterms, and I'm Chicken Little shouting at the in IRI here, guys like, bruh, we got it, and he was right. However.
Broken clock is right twice.
No. Listen, I think it was. I think your optimism was well justified. Was well justified. But my point is that I never take these elections for granted, right? So I always assume it's always a nail biter for me. So when they get cocky like that, like it's a sweep, I'm like, you have nothing to worry about. Just chill. You got nothing to worry about, right? You know, don't worry about it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You guys got this.
Yeah, I try to encourage their complacency. Yeah. So.
Yeah. They were feeling pretty cocky there for a while.
They were.
Now it's a little bit of desperation mode. They have not reacted to Kamala well. What do you think of your interview with the sheriff? That seemed to be interesting.
Yeah.
I talked to his staff, and they told me that he is has a program where I don't know if you guys talked about this.
We did, but I thought he was like running for re-election or something like that. That was my understanding. I didn't realize he was here just as an advocate for law enforcement in terms of like mental health initiatives and combating the fentanyl epidemic. I thought he was here seeking re-election, so that's why I was like, well, where can people like check out your campaign? He's like, I'm not running. That's something. Coming to DNC just purely as a local sheriff, just to advocate for your position. I will say I love Charlotte, safe city. It's been chill. I love it. Clean, green, beautiful skyline. It's Bakari Sellers, isn't it? Bakari Sellers? Hey.
Bakari Sellers.
Yeah.
Hey man, my name's Guy. We're live streaming.
Oh wow, okay. I'm about to do this podcast, and I love the big stuff. I'll let you say, hey.
100%, please.
We're going to be about to do this pod, so I'm
Appreciate it.
That's dope. I love it. Yeah, and I got to get my live stream. I got to get my live stream pod game up a little bit more. So I love it.
Yes, you do. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Dude, he was popping off on CNN last night.
Dude, man, that's what he brings the fire. So Bakari Sellers, who will be back here sometime this week, we're gonna make that happen. Dude, he was recently on the thing where I thought he really popped off. He was on Real Time with Bill Maher recently, arguing with Ben Shapiro.
I didn't see that.
I think it was Ben Shapiro, and then he went on the weekly show with Jon Stewart, which is Jon Stewart's weekly podcast, and he was arguing, this was prior to President Biden withdrawing from the race. He was defending Biden against, it was Jon Favreau from Pod Save America, and maybe Dan Pfeiffer, I can't remember. Tommy Vitor was the other one, also from Pod Save America. So yeah.
It's a rowdy bunch.
It is. It was really good.
Bill Maher knows how to put together a group.
Yeah.
I can't stand his monologue comedy stuff. I fast forward.
Yeah, it's like, hey, just get to the juicy bits.
Come on, man. This ain't about you.
He's been great for my channel. So please keep on keeping on Bill. But yeah, Bill drives me nuts with like the culture war bullshit or BS. Sorry. Yeah, like the centrist nonsense there. But yeah, he reminds me a lot of Piers Morgan in the sense that my beef with some of their political takes aside, they know how to put a good panel on.
Yeah. No, he definitely knows how to put together a good panel. And I can't think of one other place where you mix those kind of people.
Other than Piers Morgan.
Yeah, but Piers Morgan is, that's like tabloid shit. I'd go on in a heartbeat, of course, but I'm not on that.
See,
level.
that, you know what's funny is because
what do you mean? I'm nobody.
You should have like when they were looking for Biden's strongest soldier, could have had you there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I feel like I'm too small to go on Piers. Those are bigger creators.
So I don't want to throw anybody like under the bus because I'm a big fan of her work, but you have Francesca from the Bituation Room podcast. She's a relatively small content. She's affiliated with TYT. Hilarious. She's a comedian, a political commentator. She
got that teachers.
But I mean, she again puts out great content. But like, I don't know what the metric is. That is one of my goals though, because I just really have such an issue with centrists.
Yeah.
By the way, this journalist here, the gentleman here who's awesome. Politics.
Yeah, Jerry and I. He's been around for years. I know him for a minute.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys interview this guy.
What's this guy?
I think he's the guy running for Congress.
Gotcha.
Running for the House.
State?
No, I think federal is what his staff member here was saying. In like Midwest, I think Iowa or something. I don't know. Let's see.
I think you should do it.
Yeah? What, me and Mr. Bean? I think he wants to be on Bean. Sure?
Yes. Also give him the middle chair.
So we'll give him the middle chair.
Special guest.
All right.
You want to sit awkwardly in the middle, or?
I don't care wherever you
we'll put it right in the middle.
We'll put you right here.
How you doing?
Good.
My name's Guy.
David,
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, these shirts are kind of weird here. So,
First I'll try to fall and break things and
No, you're good.
actually, you just introduced yourself from Idaho, the great land of Idaho.
yeah. Right now? Just whenever.
Yes, we're live.
Great! I'm David Roth. I am from Idaho. I am the Congressional District 2 House candidate for Idaho, the Democratic nominee. I'm also Idaho's National Committee man incoming, so I'll serve a 4-year term on the DNC representing Idaho.
Oh, wow.
In 2022, I was the nominee to the U.S. Senate for the state of Idaho, the first time Idaho's ever nominated an openly gay man for a statewide office. And really only about the second time it's ever happened in the history of our country. And so, yeah, we're a real red-leaning district. My opponent's held his seat for 25 years.
Career politician.
I mean, and really anymore you see there's no reason for him to come to Idaho. There's no reason for him to listen to what's going on because he knows that he can pretty much get away with whatever he wants and he'll still get elected. So
Who is your opponent?
Mike Simpson.
Mike Simpson.
Oh,
Okay, I was
yeah.
seeing if I knew what
Yeah,
committees he was
so
on or anything. The name's
yeah,
familiar.
I mean like everyone on the Republican side, he's often to take advantage of things like the Chips and Sciences Act.
Right.
Taking credit for
Yeah,
that.
takes credit. He was just out, touring the $25 billion facility Micron's building in our district. Taking credit for it, but he voted against it. He voted against pretty much any funding coming to Idaho. He sends out letters touting, this project or that project. He voted against it all. So, I always tell people I think Idaho is worth an investment. Clearly, the Republicans do not. And so Democrats are always out there delivering for Idaho in spite of our Republican delegation.
So is that part of your campaign strategy, is to highlight these bills that he clearly voted against, but now is like saying, hey, I got you this?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely, because I think that when you are starting out misleading your constituents, it's not a great way to start any type of relationship, especially a leadership relationship. And I think it's good to call attention because in so many, especially red states, we're not red because everybody's Republican. We are red because the Republicans spend a tremendous amount of messaging and we are not good at countering that. And so we need to hold accountable for that messaging. My Senate race was one of the most expensive races in Idaho history. Mike Crapo spent almost $10 million opposing me. And as a Democrat, we don't come close to spending that in that kind of race. And you just can't compete with the constant onslaught of disinformation and incorrect information constantly coming at you. So I think it's critical that as Democrats we continue to run not only to get the information out there and hold those politicians accountable, but we also need to look at how we can bring more resources into those red areas because honestly, further investment will make, that's when we start to see those counties start to turn purple. District 33, which is my home state legislative district, is a winnable state legislative district, and it's becoming that way because of the attention that we call. to those areas. So, having a large statewide candidate such as myself based out of there, it really helps bring more attention.
Interesting. Yeah, it's always, I think, courageous, I would say, to be a Democrat running in such a red state, because you attract a lot of negative attention. So, and I think a lot of people just don't want to take on the burden. Why should I bother, And then people say, why is there these uncontested races? Why is nobody running? And so I wonder what separates you and made you say, you know what, I'm stepping right in there and I can shoulder all that.
A lack of ability to say no. No, but really...
Don't have a choice. I think a lot.
I honestly think there's a lot of value in a campaign such as mine. I always tell people that every campaign, this is my third run. I had a state legislative run, the Senate run, and this run. And I always say going into it, we want to look at what is our win if we don't win.
Yeah.
And for us, that's moving the needle forward, that's calling attention. I'm able to serve on lots of different nonprofit boards. I just recently joined the board of a trans-affirming organization. I'm able to call attention, help raise funds, do those types of things. Like, we can really bring it in. So to me, I look at it that there's all sorts of advantages beyond just the winning of the race. I mean, of course we want to win the race, and we know we can eventually. It's going to take time. But it's how do you motivate yourself through each and every one of those cycles? So often it's one and done. It's a hard thing. It's expensive. Can't work right now. So you got lost wages. You got just expense. It's expensive.
Yeah.
But if you can't find a why that allows you to continue to do it, then you're never going to get anywhere. And so, we just keep looking at it like that. And I hope that more and more people will be encouraged to run. And we try really hard in our campaign to reach out to new candidates. How can we support you? Let's do an event together. Let's do some tandem fundraising. Let's do this. Because I have managed to build a network unlike anything that we see in Idaho politics. The Senate run, we had over 8,000 individual grassroots contributions. These are like $20 contributions from all over the country. We're like 3,000 right now in the cycle we're in right now. We are able to really bring people into this idea that Idaho is worth the investment, and I think there's a lot of value to that. There's also a tremendous amount of freedom in being in a race that no one thinks you can win. It's not my race to lose, it's my race to win. So when you hear positions out there that maybe in a state like Idaho, for example, I'm one of the only multi-district, in fact I think I'm the only multi-district candidate who will actually say I support a ban on assault rifles. I have a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old. I'd really like them to come home from school after day, at the end of the day. People in my state are often afraid to make those claims because they're like, oh, we live in a very gun-friendly state, that's going to cost votes. But the reality is, we shouldn't be compromising our positions solely just to get votes. We should be doing what's right. And so, we're able to take on a lot of positions. Immigration is another one. It's a huge issue in Idaho. Idaho has an unauthorized workforce of between 30 and 35,000 individuals. And our agriculture industry is completely 100% dependent on it. The CEO of the Dairymen's Association just came out and said, essentially, if you do mass deportations, you will decimate Idaho dairy. Idaho's the third largest producer of dairy in our country. You think milk's expensive now? Wait till we get rid of an entire industry in your largest producer. These are the things that no one wants to talk about, but in a campaign like ours, we can bring attention to it. So, we often joke that we're I don't know if I can swear on this, so I'll just say, why the heck not? And really a lot of people, especially young people, resonate really well with that. They want to see someone who is willing to take a stand on the issues that are important to them and bring attention to it and give voice. So that's what we try to do.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, what is the most important issue to you?
Well,
I've been asking other.
I mean, really, I have to say freedom, because I think just about everything comes from that. I am extremely concerned about LGBT rights. I'm concerned about the Kim Davis court case that's working through the appeals court right now in the Sixth Circuit. I think that could absolutely be the vehicle for reversing marriage equality. I'm really concerned about that. I'm concerned about women's health care and well, as far as say abortion. I'm concerned about all of these different issues out there, and they all stem back to those individual freedoms. And I think that we need to remind ourselves that in the land of the free, that we have to have that freedom. So I would say that's really the most important. As Governor Walz likes to say, people need to just mind their own damn business.
It's a great slogan.
It is.
It's effective. We have just a few minutes until we got to catch Joe Biden speak. So any last? I don't want to take us away from that. So any last question?
No, I just think, what do you think about everything that's going on in politics right now with Kamala Harris switching in and all that? I mean,
well, I hate, first of all, to hear people say switching in, because where I come from, everybody talks about you switched out your nominee. Well, we didn't, because we hadn't made a nominee yet.
True.
Also, as a candidate, I can tell you, if you don't want to run, you don't have to run, and we got to do something. I think it's a tremendous opportunity. I love the momentum that we're seeing. I actually love that it's happening so late in the cycle, because we only have to maintain this momentum for another, 78 days or 87 days? I should know this, I don't. And I think that's really going to be critical for us. And you're seeing the excitement, even in a red state like mine. Volunteers coming out of the woodwork, donations coming out of the woodwork. Everybody's excited.
Yeah.
And so I think that's extremely important for us.
A lot of pent-up energy that was just looking for an outlet now seems to have it.
It is. I think Idaho is kind of behind the times. We didn't see so much of the effect. We saw lots of really angry people after the Dobbs decision.
Yeah.
We saw huge amounts of voter registration, young people, women. In fact, we led the country in women registering to vote.
Yeah.
However, election day rolls around and the numbers all look basically the same as they always do. And the number of Democrats registered stayed about the same as it always does. And so I kind of think Idaho is just a little behind the times. People have not yet had that personal hit. They haven't had a friend who has had to be airlifted out of the state for an ectopic pregnancy. They haven't had these things happen. But it's happening more and more, and I think that you're going to see people really start to come together, and I'm hopeful that we'll see some change.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, good luck the rest of your campaign, and appreciate you.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
Yes, nice to meet you, and good luck.
Thank you.
I don't know if we have a viewing platform or any way to see it.
We don't?
I don't know where we can go. They won't let us in the hall.
Well, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can watch, but we can stand in the hall. But
I have no idea. Yeah, we'll just wrap it up.
Oh yeah, we'll wrap it up. Okay.
All right.
Where's Josiah? Is that here? Oh, there he is, right here. I'll let him say goodbye to his
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here soon, but yeah, is there somebody?
Yeah, somebody.
Guy from DGG ran into him at the Greater.
Oh.
Who wants to meet IRI?
Oh, IRI.
Big fan.
Yeah, so we're gonna be back tomorrow.
Are we?
Are we?
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's going to be bigger, better, brighter. We're going to have the president, the future president. We're going to have Tom Hartman. We're going to have Mr. Beat. We may have IRI. I don't know. He's looking pretty dapper, pretty fresh. He may, I don't know, somebody else may poach him.
Can we give you a shout out for your help back here?
Nah.
All right, bye. Thanks to everyone.
See you, everybody. Thanks.
See you tomorrow.
This is